You're listening to The Pete Sheppard Show.
It's good to be back.
Plenty of time for SGA to squeeze one off against Brown. No whistle. Oh, he got it to go! SGA on the JOB at the buzzer. And that's the end of the first half of play with some late game theatrics and heroics off glass. We'll join Malik Andrews, Kendrick Perkins, and Brian Windhorst.
Oh, SGA was the man last night in Boston. Celtics fall to OKC. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome to the Pete Sheppard Show here. It is Thursday the 13th. March, that is. Welcome to the Pete Sheppard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. Thanks for checking us out across the video platform. As always, follow me on at PeteShep326 on X and Twitter, on our Facebook pages, CSN Florida, Rumble, YouTube, LinkedIn. Let's get it going, everybody. You can call or text the show, also 727-858-6650, and the awesome app that we have, SR1029 The Game, and SR1029TheGame.com. How is everybody doing today on this Thursday? Huge show lined up for you. We're going to kind of cover it all. Basketball, NBA, NFL, some historic moments in sports yesterday, especially in the NHL and in baseball. And I'm not talking about the major leagues either. Wait till you see what happened. Golf, we got TPC Sawgrass coverage that starts this morning. One of my favorite tournaments of the year. The tee times begin at 7:40 this morning. We're going to cover it all. Huge show. Big guest lined up for you today. Trevor Harris from WQAM is a weekly visit at 8:05. Rick Horrow back from New Zealand. And we'll get his thoughts about a whole bunch of stuff, especially what's going on in Tampa Bay. He is back. He joins us at 8:30. PGA Pro Jeff Nixon. Those of you who lived here in Southwest Florida know him. He used to be the pro at Stony Brook. But Jeff is a great guy, one of my favorite people. Big Georgia Bulldog fan as well. Big sports fan, but nobody better as a golf analyst than him. So we're going to get his thoughts on TPC Sawgrass, which there was some, I won't say history made yesterday, but an unbelievable moment at number 17. Yes, the island hole at TPC Sawgrass. Wait till you see what Colin Morikawa's caddy did yesterday. We got all the video for you. Mark Gastineau wants to sue ESPN because of that, because he thinks they made him look bad with that ridiculous threat to Brett Favre, and that it's just absolutely crazy. The Netflix Red Sox docuseries trailer came out yesterday as well, and we'll got a lot of video to play this morning. To start off with the Celtics losing to OKC last night, 118-112. SGA, him and Jokic are absolutely the two finalists for the MVP. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Jokic is top three. People don't realize it in the top, in points, rebounding, and assists. He's there. But SGA, and he's won three previous MVPs, but SGA this year, this might be his year to get it. He had 34 points last night. He was absolutely outstanding for Oklahoma City, 34, 5, and 7. Plays good defense, and Oklahoma City plays good defense. Celtics didn't shoot the ball particularly well last night. It was a great game back and forth. I hope this is what happens in the finals, even though OKC won the two matchups this year with the Celtics. I hope that they get to meet again in the finals. I think it would be absolutely outstanding. Last night was the first time in a while that I really thought they missed Porzingis, and hopefully he'll be back tomorrow night against Miami, because the OKC went to the line 23 more times than the Celtics did last night. And I'm not complaining about the officials, because OKC deserved it. They deserved to go to the line 23 more times. They took it to them, to the Celtics. They made some unbelievable layups. Sometimes they were, contested pretty well by Boston, but Just too much. Went back and forth. Came right down to the wire, basically. Last minute of the game was very close. And Celtics lose by 6, 118 to 112. Tatum was very good last night, 33, 8 and 6, or 33, 8 and 8. D. White had 22, 8 and 5 for the Celtics. Harford continues to be amazing at his age, 18, 10 and 6. Jaylen Brown had a bit of an off night, 10 points, 5 rebounds, a couple of assists. Drew Holiday, 9, 3 and 2. And Hauser and Pritchard off the bench last night only combined for 11 points. That was a bit of a problem. And Cornette had 9 points, 4 rebounds. But tip your hat, OKC. They're an excellent basketball team, great basketball team. Now the question is, a lot of people comparing them to the Buffalo Bills. Can they get over the hump in the West? Can they get there? And I think they will. I do think it'll be OKC if it ends up working out. I think it'll be OKC and Denver in the Western Conference Finals. So that should be a hell of a series. And I still think it's going to be, Boston and Cleveland. I still think the Celtics, the depth that they have, and once Porzingis is back, and they were 15-3 over their last 18 games. They just won 5 in a row, so they were playing really good basketball. And they just Oklahoma City was a better team last night, plain and simple. Anyway, we say good morning to Angel Martinez. Good morning, Angel. How are you? How are things in Tampa? It's nice here today, mid-50s this morning, Southwest Florida. How are things up your way?
Good morning, Pete, and good morning, everyone. It is 53, got down to about 49, so it went up already a quick 4 degrees since the overnight hours, which isn't bad, but we're expected to get about 77 yesterday. I think the high was supposed to be 75. We got up to 83, so I would expect about the same today, and then looks like the weekend is going to be nice and toasty for a lot of folks down here. But the nice thing is it'll be less humidity, so it's not like in the summertime where it's
that's it.
Stuff.
That's the key. Less humidity. It can be 90 degrees, and the humidity can be, as long as it's under 60%, it's great. It was we had the doors open all day yesterday. It got to be 77 in the house, which is fine with the fans blowing and the crosswind. It was great, but the humidity was only like 39%. We have that thermostat that tells you the humidity that's big. Anytime it gets close to when it gets to like over 60% is when we shut the doors and put the AC on because it gets a little stuffy. But it has been just that. I mean, this is why we're here, right? It's ridiculous, the weather, how great it is. So everybody that's down here, all the kids from spring break are down here as well. And, from Tampa all the way down to Marco Island, it's a huge time of year between spring training and spring break, high school and college. It's great stuff. So, but we got a lot to cover today, Angel. There's a lot going on. Last night, everybody was focused on the Celtics and OKC. 118-112, the final there. OKC wins. Still got a lot of NFL news to talk about. Aaron Rodgers, more and more my theory yesterday, and I've added to it. I'm still not sure if the Pittsburgh Steelers want Aaron Rodgers or the New York Giants actually want Aaron Rodgers. Russell Wilson now is going to meet with Cleveland, which I think is a good luck. Good luck with that. I don't know who the Steelers. If they have their heart set on Aaron Rodgers, I don't know. Maybe they should think again, or maybe they don't want him. Then my amendment to yesterday is maybe Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to play anymore. He's there's a video of him, I think, or somebody posted something. I haven't seen it personally. Out, I don't know where he is, some island with a towel, on the beach, whatever, and he's just taking his sweet time, as everybody continues to talk about him. Though I'm not going to talk about him much, but it's the fact of the matter is, he's just doing nothing, and nobody's seeing. I mean, you're not hearing like, you hear little reports here and there about the Steelers and the Giants might be interested in him, but nothing's going on. And now Russell Wilson might be headed to Cleveland. Wouldn't that be something? So there goes another option away from Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, and. Aaron Rodgers may be the only option they have left if he even wants to play, which I'm not 100% sure he does. You never know with that guy. Yeah. He's liable to sit out half the season and then come trade deadline and say, okay, yeah, I want to play. But we'll see, Angel. But go ahead.
I wonder why Cleveland, though, for Russell Wilson. I mean, I kind of get it. But...
Yeah, I look, they have Jameis Winston. I mean, they're going to Tennessee doesn't draft Cam Ward. Cleveland should draft Cam Ward. There's no doubt about that. The Shadur Sanders thing, now I'm getting tired of it. People playing the race card again over and over. It's such bullshit. Cam Ward's black too, in case people don't know. And I told you, Cam Ward is the Celtics, Shadur Sanders is the Knicks. It's not that Shadur Sanders cannot be a very good quarterback, or maybe end up being a great quarterback. I don't know. But right now, Cam Ward is the better quarterback. He's the best quarterback coming out of the draft. And I really don't think it's close. I think Shadur Sanders is a very good / excellent quarterback. But this stuff about people not liking him because of the color of his skin now, or people are like, why? You're not saying that about Cam Ward. You know why? Because Deion Sanders isn't Cam Ward's father, making all these pitches for him, saying early on that he was going to control his destiny and he'll go where I tell him to go and that type of thing. Just ridiculous.
Hang on. Someone knows. There we go.
Oh, yeah, what happened?
There's things I end up checking while we're on to make sure it's fine. And apparently it decided to monitor itself. And so you got to quickly.
Minus. Is it doing it again?
No.
Okay. All right. Let's get to some unbelievable video. And it may not be what you think. I saw something. Well, Angel, let's scroll down. There's some historic stuff that happened yesterday. If we can scroll down right under where I posted NHL news. Historic NHL moment last night in the Seattle-Montreal game, something that has never, ever been done before in the history of the NHL. Let's let the video speak for itself. Right. Unbelievable stuff.
If you're just joining us, thank you, but you have missed a lot. So don't do it again. Off the draw. Here it is. Montour right in. He scores! Hey! What do you say? 5 seconds in. Brandon Montour wins it in overtime. If you're just joining us,
it actually technically, I guess, was 4 seconds. Fastest overtime goal in the history of the NHL. Sorry, Canadians. I laughed in your face. Which I should, because they're probably going to make the playoffs and the Bruins aren't. But anyway, fastest goal ever in overtime in the history of the NHL. Now, another crazy thing that happened yesterday, right up above that, Angel, right up above that, MLB. This is college baseball yesterday. The University of the Minnesota Golden Gophers made history yesterday, and not in a great way in their loss to the Kansas Jayhawks. I have never seen this at any level of baseball. T-ball, Little League, Babe Ruth, Senior Babe Ruth, high school, Legion, single A, double A, triple A, Major League Baseball. I have never seen anything like this before. This was history yesterday.
Oh boy.
Between Kansas and Minnesota. All right.
Diggins swings and sends this in the air to deep left center field. Back goes Easton Richter. He leaps up, and that is gone. Trying to get out number 1. This is blasted to deep left field. And that is gone for a Kansas Jayhawks. Council drives this to deep left, and they go back to back to back. The 1-0 is hit to deep right. Back it goes, twisting towards the pool. It's a fair ball, and it's another home run for the Kansas Jayhawks. Now make that, the second inning. And this is hit well to deep left. That is back, and that is gone.
Lord.
Wow. 5 straight home runs for the Kansas Jayhawks.
Oh my God! Yes, they're playing where they're playing where the
Vikings play
and the Vikings play. Back to back to back to back to back. 5 straight home runs for the Kansas Jayhawks yesterday in the win over the Golden Gopher. Holy shit! I've never seen that in my life.
Me either. Not even professional baseball.
No, at any level of baseball. That's why I said. I mean, we needed LeBron. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. 5 straight home runs. I mean, absolutely unbelievable what happened yesterday in that game. It's crazy stuff. In front of like 5 people, by the way. Because why wouldn't you get out of work early to go see Minnesota play Kansas in the middle of the afternoon? I wonder how much the tickets were to get in there.
$5.
Yeah, that's what it should be. All right, and then if we could scroll up, Angel, another historic moment at TPC Sawgrass. Well, not historic, but a pretty cool thing. It's right. It's on PGA Tour. Here is Colin Morikawa's caddy, JJ Jakubak, on number 17, the island hole at TPC Sawgrass yesterday.
Oh, Jay!
Come on, JJ.
Be good!
Come on. Come on, JJ. He's got it. He's got it.
Are you not entertained? No, you're not hitting. Jill, pack it up. Jill, pack it up. You're out. Are you hitting this?
You're safe. I think you're safe.
You are going down in the history books. Are you kidding me? Historic.
That'll do me. Let me make sure I have the video.
Hey, are we taking our caddy shots here? I'm not taking shots. We just made a one.
Another highlight coming up. It's funny.
It's insane.
Another angle, I should say.
No, you didn't, bro.
Yeah, follow that, Brucey.
I can't believe I just did that.
Oh, Jay!
Come on, JJ.
Be good!
Come on. Come on, JJ. He's got it. He's got it.
Are you not entertained?
That's the best shot I've hit here in 17 years. I usually hit good ones, but that one was like, I play golf 10 times a year now, so I got a new set of clubs. I think they want to take a picture.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the story.
Yeah.
TaylorMade made me a new set of clubs yesterday. I got some lighter shafts, a little whippier because
All right, Angel, that's good. But I mean, an unbelievable story. I've had the privilege of back in the when the Patriots played the Eagles and won back in the '04 Super Bowl. They had a media event where you paid $50. It all went to charity. You got to take 3 shots. So onto that green, and it usually plays out between. Usually, it's because it's on an island and it looks intimidating, but it's only about 137 to 145 yards, depending on where the flag is and all. It's very difficult. All the way the ball can roll off the green. If you can hit it in the middle of the green, I've seen it at times, and roll into the water. But that was great. But I did get one of my 3. I got to hit 3 balls. One of them I got on. Which was pretty good back in the day. But it was for charity, so a bunch of us got to do it. So it's actually fun. It was playing about 138 that day. I don't know. I can't forget. I think I hit a 9-iron or an 8-iron, I think, for me. And but anyway, that's something, huh? The caddy, JJ, I believe it's Jakubak. And when we got Jeff Nixon on at 9:05, he knows a lot of these caddies, and I know Jeff's played at a lot of these courses. Over the years at TPC, he's also also I believe he's played at the Masters as well, which is coming up next month. But that was pretty. So that was pretty cool seeing that yesterday. And the TPC Sawgrass will tee off this morning. Lanto Griffin, C.T. Penn, David Lingley, who else? Chad Ramey, Andrew Novak, Vince Whaley. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. They all tee off. It begins in about 20 minutes at 7:40 at TPC Sawgrass, up at Ponte Vedra Beach, up north in Florida, close to Jacksonville. Scotty Sheppard won it last year. $25 million prize pool. $25 million prize pool.
Because I'm not much as a golf advocate as you are, but have they ever had like a fun match of like caddies versus caddies ever?
Oh, I'm sure I'm sure I'm sure it happens. But like you just heard him say, he only gets to play 10 times a year because of the tour.
Yeah.
And when you're a professional caddy, you don't have a lot of free time. But I'm sure it's happened. No, remember like in caddy, you think like in Caddyshack with the caddy tournament.
Yeah.
Mr. Scholarship winner, you're my pal, Mr. Scholarship winner. Say, what are you doing after? What are you doing tomorrow afternoon? This is, remember after Danny won the tournament? And Ted Knight, what are you doing tomorrow afternoon? Oh, nothing, sir. He's like, well, he said, we're having an event over at the yacht club, but I figured a kid like you might want to mow my lawn. And he's like, oh, he goes, and then afterwards you could drop by the yacht club. Then he walks in and the two stoners, his grandson, Spalding.
Yeah.
Spalding gets put up the boat. He's like, Danny walks in with the jacket. He literally, for him, looking all famous. He's like, where'd you come from? A Scotch ad? By the way, Spalding used to work at this place, Cleary's in Boston, as a bartender for years. And I don't know if he's still there or who knows. But back in the day in the South End, not Southie, but the South End of Boston, he was a bartender there at Cleary's for a long time. So you can imagine him telling the stories of being on that set over and over again. Unbelievable stuff. All right. What else we got? Okay. So Aaron Rodgers is a free agent for the first time as the Jets released him yesterday, and the Jets are on the hook for a lot of money. By carrying him on the roster until the start of the league year, the Jets can now designate him a post-June first cut, which allows them to spread his $49 million cap hit over 2 years, $14 million this year, but $35 million next season in 2026. And for now, they must carry his full cap charge of $23.5 million until June 1st, and after that, it drops to $14 million, providing a $9.5 million in cap relief. So yeah, I'm going to play some audio from that as well. Some other NFL stuff going on, but let's get into Aaron Rodgers. Here's Patrick Peterson of the Steelers adding wide receiver DK Metcalf and the possibility of Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh. This is from Sirius XM NFL Radio.
The biggest shocker to me was the DK Metcalf to the Pittsburgh Steelers, in my opinion, and also signing him to the extension that they gave him, in that transaction. I thought that was, to me, the shocker of free agency, because we all know Pittsburgh, first and foremost, don't, just hand out money, right? Pittsburgh Steelers have a way of going about paying guys, and for them to trade for DK Metcalf and give him a 4-year, $150 million deal, to me, that was the biggest shocker throughout this free agency frenzy.
So does that lead you to believe that Aaron Rodgers, that's where he's going to wind up? Because Aaron Rodgers is expected to make a decision today. It's between the Giants and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has the better team, I think you could safely say. Do you think that Rodgers winds up going to Pittsburgh to play for Mike Tomlin for 2 years?
That's where all roads are leading, in my opinion. I could see Aaron Rodgers teaming up with Mike Tomlin, and like you said, the weapons that he have on offense now, as far as on the receivers, as far as pass catchers, we all know what the defense is going to bring. They just need a guy who's not afraid, to push the ball down the field, a guy who understands where the ball needs to go.
All right. Well, what makes everybody think that Aaron Rodgers is still able to do that? We saw a couple of times last year, but he had weapons on the Jets last year. and couldn't get it done. So I don't know. Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin working together. I'm not seeing it, but it's very possible it could happen. But Russell Wilson going to the Browns, I don't know what good that's going to do him either. If I'm the Browns, I draft Cam Ward if he's there at 2 and just take it from there. We'll see. Meanwhile, Ryan Clark yesterday on NFL Live, speaking of the Dallas Cowboys, which we're not, but we are right now, Ryan Clark says the Cowboys, they just don't give a shit.
So this is a great signing by Seattle, another loss by the Cowboys.
They don't care. I'm convinced the Cowboys just don't care. Yeah, Cowboys just like, hey, man, it is what it is, dog. We're going to see what happens. We ain't trying to get no better than all season.
Not gonna help. You know what it is? See, they feel like a guy like Peyton Turner, who they signed as a free agent, like, we'll just slap him in there. He'll be good enough. You know what I mean? I know that, but I mean, they just look at that, like, they're looking at him and Solomon Thomas. Look, at the way Dallas gets run through, and they just sign guys like they're just like, hey, you know what? They'll just out-effort them and we'll out-hustle them. We'll out-smart them.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, the amount of times that we've sat here and tried to even list off all of the needs that Dallas still has, and they're letting DeMarcus Lawrence
That's a big loss.
go.
And think about it. In 1 year, they lose him and Zach Martin when it comes to, like,
it's character and grit and leadership. Yep. When you watch DeMarcus Lawrence play, he was the one guy on the front
left it up
defensively that played football like it was supposed to be played. He played on the other side of the line of scrimmage. He was about hat in hands. He was about leverage. He played this game and gave them a sense of physicality that really nobody else did, even with Micah being their best player.
Yep, really, really interesting. More NFL news. The Rams yesterday released Cooper Kupp after failing to trade the star wide receiver. Hello, Patriots, hello. Go get this guy. Go get him. I don't care. He's 31. I don't care. Go get him. Please. The Rams take the dead cap hit of $14.78 million this year and $7.48 million next year. The release will save the Rams $15 million in cap space next season. He's 31 years old, spent the first 8 years of his NFL career with the Rams, part of head coach Sean McVay's first draft class back in 2017. Of course, he played at Eastern Washington, and what's famous about playing at Eastern Washington, Angel, and FCS, or, Division I AA, it used to be the Red Field. Remember, they have the Smurf Turf in Boise State? Yep. Eastern Washington has the Red Field, which I find more offensive than the Smurf. I like the Smurf Turf. I don't mind that at all. So Cooper's best season back in 2021 when he led the NFL in receptions with 145, receiving yards 1,947, and touchdowns. He had 16 that year. He was named to his only Pro Bowl and was the NFL's Offensive Player of the Year. But I would love to see the Patriots go out and grab him. That would be, again, a start, another cog in the wheel that they need to fill, and getting some offense going and get, at least for the Patriots, he'd be probably, a legitimate, he'd probably be a number one, and no question be a number two on that team. But I hope they go out and get him. Mac Jones signs a 2-year, $7 million deal with the San Francisco 49ers. It's worth $7 million, $5 million guaranteed. And he appeared in 10 games last year with Jacksonville, including 7 in place of Trevor Lawrence. Completed 65.3% of his passes, 1,672 yards, 8 touchdowns with 8 interceptions. Jaguars were 2-5 in his starts, averaging just 15 points a game. But good luck with that. And the Brock Purdy stuff, what's going on over there. And the San Francisco 49ers have basically blown it up in a lot of ways. They're going to struggle this year. There's no doubt in my mind that team is absolutely going to struggle. All right, before we go to break, Angel, let's play another. Let's see if we can. Speaking of wide receivers, if we could scroll down a little bit from First Take yesterday. It's not too far down with Chris Mad Dog Russo going at, or he does his weekly segment on Wednesdays with ESPN about what pisses him off, basically. And, he's got a bit of a point here about wide receivers choosing money over quarterbacks. Here's just a little rant yesterday.
All right, number one, the big receiver who wants the payday, Tyreek Hill. Diggs to a certain degree, though he got tired of the Buffalo scenario, wanted to change. Devontae Adams. There's a lot of these examples, and now the latest one is DK Metcalf. I understand he got $150 million, and maybe Seattle didn't want to pay him that kind of money, but he goes to Pittsburgh and they don't have a quarterback. So the receiver wants the huge money, but the bigger issue is you got to have the quarterback to throw you the football, because you got to want to score touchdowns and have 1,000 yards of receptions and have 20 TDs. And half these receivers, they leave the great QB. How in the world could you leave Aaron Rodgers as Adams did? He's been bouncing around. Maybe he's found a home finally ever since. Diggs got mad at Buffalo and he left Josh Allen. How do you leave Josh Allen? I know Stroud's decent, but you left Josh Allen. Tyreek Hill, he left Mahomes. He's the greatest quarterback we've seen. He left Mahomes to go to Miami, which he has not won a playoff game yet. Now, I understand the Seattle scenario with the QB spot is not so secure. Smith left, who knows, on Donald, 2 bad games at the end of last year, so he didn't leave Warren Moon. I understand that. But he went to Pittsburgh, where they had Fields, they got rid of him, and we've been sitting here for 2 hours with Mr. Clark debating who should be the QB this year. And if it's Tomlin's fault, if it's Russell Wilson's fault, where's Rodgers fit in? So Metcalf gets to 150. He's going to go to Pittsburgh, and I guarantee you by week 5, when Wilson can't give him the ball, he's going to be moaning and groaning. What am I doing here? But he gets no targets, for crying out loud. If you're a receiver, you got to go to a place where the QB gets you the football. That means Cincinnati, Baltimore, the Rams, Philadelphia to a certain degree, Buffalo, Kansas City. That is where you go. To go where there's no QB is ridiculous. Because you know, the money, you can't take the money on the field. And you're going to be sitting on that field in the middle of November on a bad team getting 2 catches a game.
Yeah.
Malik Neighbors, anybody? That's number 1.
Oh, you make a strong case there. RC, you take it first.
The craziest thing is how close he gets to this camera without hitting it. That's amazing control. But listen, I agree with him. But it is about the money. And you think about somebody like A.J. Brown. When he made that switch to Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts wasn't quite Jalen Hurts yet. And so he was able to get with Jalen Hurts and grow and get the money. And get the money. So it's about going to the right place. And I don't know if all of these wide receivers are leaving these places just for the money. But when you have a sure thing like a Patrick Mahomes,
you can't leave.
As long as you're making the right type of money, you'll continue to make it longer because he'll get you to rock.
Absolutely right. All right, Mr. Smith, let me hear your thoughts. Go ahead. Oh, don't give me that look.
It's ridiculous. The fact of the matter is that this is football. It's a very physical sport. It takes a toll on your body, could compromise you physically for years upon years after your playing days are over.
All right,
and
Angel, that's good.
You can't take the
that's
money
good.
on the football
field. I mean, you're going to see the obvious. And this is where Mad Dog, I mean, I appreciate his passion and everything else. But look, you know, Chris Godwin decided to stay in Tampa Bay. He turned down $20 million more from the Patriots to stay there because he's comfortable there with his family. Myles Garrett, who talked about getting traded for a month and then decided to stay because of the money that he got from the Cleveland Browns. Godwin stayed for less money. It depends on the situation. So I'm not gonna. You can't just say to receivers who are guaranteed all this money that you're not going to go here or there because of the quarterback. I understand what Mad Dog is saying, but I'm sorry. You know, it takes a toll. If someone's guaranteed you $100 million, I'll go play on the moon. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. Ryan Clark was on fire yesterday. When we come back from break, we're going to hear him a great nerd type of analogy about Aaron Rodgers joining the Pittsburgh Steelers. Wait till you hear this and see the video. It is hysterical from yesterday. And more NFL news. Great guest coming up today. Trevor Harris from WQAM in Miami at 8:05. Rick Horrow, our sports business guru, at 8:30. Back from Kiwi Land in New Zealand. Jeff Nixon will give us a jingle at 9:05. We'll talk TPC Sawgrass with him. And then the big O, Glenn Ordway, will join me from Arizona at 9:30 this morning. All part of the Pete Sheppard Show here on Thursday, the 13th on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Hey, everybody. It's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home. Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill? Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Sheppard Show.
But we all know that they plant these certain reports or they say these certain things, and you do hear the word arrogant. Why is he arrogant? Because he won't walk into the meeting and bend the knee, or he won't sit in the meeting and question himself or his abilities or his knowledge and experience in the game. I don't believe that that's arrogance. I want a quarterback that's self-assured. I want a quarterback that can cut the film on, and when you ask him a question about why did you make this mistake, or why did you make this throw, or why was this the right read, I want him to be able to regurgitate that to me like he's in the play at the moment, the same way a coach or an offense coordinator would, because that's what he's going to have to do. And I've had conversations with Sheppard Sanders, and he can do that.
All right, Ryan Clark on Sheppard Sanders yesterday. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Pete Sheppard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. And turning out to going to be another beautiful day here in Southwest Florida. Hope wherever you are warm and cozy and happy and healthy. Thanks for checking us out here across the video platform on the Coastal Sports Network. That is Ryan Clark right there. We're going to get to Carson Beck, who now is the Miami Hurricanes. We'll get Dan Orlovsky talking about that Cam Ward is still the number one. No one, I don't know where this, I guess for some about Sheppard Sanders. So look, a lot of the criticism, and I'm not criticizing it. I think he's an excellent, I think he's a really good player with the potential to be great. I just think Cam Ward is on a different level. That's all. He's just a better quarterback. And the reason why Sheppard Sanders gets a little heat is because he yaps a lot. Now, I also know he's a great guy. I also know he spends time with the elementary school kids, and he did over this past couple of years in Colorado. He's a good guy. I think we get some people get a little oversensitive. Do you ever hear anybody? And I'm sure Cam Ward is just as cocky. And maybe there is some arrogance there as well, but he lets all out on the field. He doesn't need, and he made a lot of money at Miami, so he does not need a Deion Sanders as a dad to go and shop him around. I mean, his merits speak for themselves. What he did last year, I mean, he was awesome inside the pocket, outside the pocket, it didn't matter. He's a better quarterback than Sheppard Sanders. End of story. He just is. Can Sheppard Sanders get to his level? Yeah, I think they're different types of quarterbacks per se. But this overly sensitive stuff about you can't criticize Sheppard Sanders, no one's really criticizing him. He's got a dad as a mouthpiece who's one of the great players of all time. And certainly some of that rubs off on your son. It's gonna happen. I got no problem with Sheppard Sanders. I just thought the Buffaloes were overrated for a lot of the years. Now, I saw him do some very good things, and I saw him look like shit a lot of the times. Cam Ward didn't really have one crappy game. Now, the defense, we're not talking about Miami as a whole. All right, they started off 9-0. They lost again, and they lost a couple of games that they shouldn't have lost. But you go back and look at his numbers last year. Go tell me the bad game Cam Ward had. And he didn't get knocked on his ass, 50 times like Sheppard Sanders did, because he wouldn't throw the ball away. You heard Deion Sanders would say it. You got to throw the ball away. You got to throw the ball away. So there's still a lot that Sheppard Sanders needs to learn, and it's skills that I believe that Cam Ward already has and possesses for the most part. So Angel, if we could scroll down a little bit, let's see, under the PGA Tour thing, and let's start with yesterday the McAfee show. Dan Orlovsky talking about Cam Ward says he still thinks he is the number one pick. It's right under the PGA Tour thing that we played earlier.
Got it.
Ready.
Cam and Shador obviously training together as bunch of highlights there. Shador spinning it all over the place. Him and Cam.
Really good. Really good player.
You like Cam Ward a lot, right?
Yeah, I think Cam Ward's the number one pick, and it's clear to be the number one pick. I've said this. I think the thing that surprised me more about Cam Ward than I anticipated was how well he throws the ball from the pocket. I mean, there are so many examples where that ball, he hits his back foot on the ground, and that thing jumps out of his hand. And it's an absolute rip. And the ball downfield, I mean, he throws the seam ball as good as anybody. Gosh, I'm trying to think. You know, Jaden threw the crosser really well, but throwing the ball in between the hash, he absolutely steps on the football and rips it. And so it's clear to me that he's the number one pick. It reminds me a little bit, you know, ironically, of Steve McNair coming out of school and just his style. He's not an electric athlete. He's not a dynamic athlete, but he's athletic enough. And I wish he was an inch or two taller, but Cam Ward, clear number one pick. If I was Tennessee, I would not trade out of the pick.
Tennessee Titans need a quarterback. Cam Ward is the quarterback they should take, says Dan Orlovsky. And Dan ain't stinky with that one. Dan ain't stinky. Dan, you ain't stinky, Dan.
Yeah, so that is going to be interesting to see what the Tennessee Titans do. They should take him. If they don't, Cleveland should take him, but Cleveland maybe has other ideas now if they do indeed sign Russell Wilson, who's visiting them today, I believe. So, an interesting stuff. Now, Carson Beck, and I just tweeted this out, Angel, as well, and I have not heard this yet, but I want to, anyway, it's right under the show. You might have to refresh. It's right under the show. Carson Beck, the headline is, dude Carson Beck really allegedly did some dumb shit on Snapchat. Now, remember, he dates Hannah Cavender, one of the Cavender twins, who is both on the basketball team in Miami. They transferred from Fresno State, and they really started the nil movement. They were like the first, you know, and they're both beautiful young ladies, and a lot of it, you know, was some, you know, they're scantily clad in a lot of these photos, which is why they also got very popular. But I've never met them. They seem like good girls and all that stuff. Anyway, Carson Beck, remember his car got stolen, his Lamborghini and the Mercedes-Benz, and Hannah's SUV got stolen. I think all three cars have hence returned. But here's something. Carson Beck apparently did some stupid shit on Snapchat again.
All right, so I'm almost positive that Carson Beck and Hannah Cavender are broken up because some dumb shit this dude did on Snapchat. Which, oh, shocker, Carson Beck got in trouble for saying some stupid shit on Snapchat again. The first sign that pointed to them breaking up was looking at Hannah's Instagram, and there's absolutely nothing posted with him. Like, everything of him is erased. After just this weekend, they were posting with Carson Beck when they were on a little boyfriend-girlfriend trip in Nashville. Here's another post where Carson Beck's right there. And peep this when it was posted, by the way, 3 days ago. That would be Sunday. We got this DM saying that Carson Beck added this one girl on Snapchat on Sunday, looking at 9:34 p.m. So just after they were posting all this shit on Sunday in Nashville together. And as soon as he adds that one girl on Snapchat, he sends her this. While him and Hannah are like very much together on a trip together. Girl asks like, oh, like, don't you have a girlfriend? Did y'all break up? He goes, literally this past weekend, LOL. Boldface ass lie. And then here's another Snapchat that he sent her saying things just not working out. He could see it coming. This looks like a really brand new hat, right? Real new, real nice. The same exact one he was wearing on that trip in Nashville. So I'm gonna be so real. Like, this dude 1000% sent this while he was on a trip and he had a little away time. Hannah doesn't even follow this dude anymore, so you already know they broke up. And like I said from this really trusty source, it was because he said some dumb fucking shit on Snapchat. Just delete the fucking app, Carson. It's not that hard.
Oh boy.
Yeah. That's my quarterback. Maybe. Like I said, he's. I don't even know if he's going to be ready opening day with the elbow situation that he has. I don't know. I have no idea. But if he's, I'm glad this is happening in March and not, August 31st when the Hurricanes play host to Notre Dame, coming up on August 31st on the opening weekend of college football. Get his head on straight. And again, I'm not sure he's going to be even ready to go then. Some people say yes, some people say no. I know he's not going to be able to play in the spring. That's for sure. But I don't know. I can't remember the dumb shit he did on Snapchat when he was with the Georgia Bulldogs. I can't remember it off the top of his head. I know he got reprimanded for it a little bit. But it seems like the Georgia Bulldogs, every other day, somebody was getting arrested or yelled at. And Kirby Smart had to keep not making up, but he had to cover and talk about off the field activities for the Georgia Bulldogs for a lot of last season. A lot of it. By the way, we'll get Jeff Nixon's thoughts on Carson Beck as well. He's a huge college football fan, huge Bulldog fan, in addition to being a huge PGA pro, and great analysis. Has a show locally on Sundays over at ESPN Southwest Florida, where I used to work. Does a great job over there. But we're lucky to have Jeff on today at 9:05. Go ahead, Angel.
I don't know. My apologies for not knowing who these two girls are. I guess it's the thing. I don't know. I don't have freaking Snapchat nor TikTok, so it's neither here nor there for me. But it's one of those things with Carson Beck. Like some of these guys, I don't understand it. Like you're in a relationship, yet you still want more. And then I understand like when he went to Florida, he had to put up, all this flashy stuff, the new place he's at, the cars, blah, blah, blah. Like you live that kind of lifestyle. It's very short-lived lifestyle because you're in the spotlight for maybe another season. And then when the spotlight goes away, then what happens? Because it's obvious that he's just blowing through his money. So it's just, to me, it's a lot
I can't speak to that. I don't know that for a fact. I mean, I don't think anybody does. I don't know if he's blowing his money. He's making a lot of money. And I know he has a fancy car, a couple of them, but I don't know if he's blowing his money. The Cavender twins are, this started a few years ago when they were at Fresno State, when the nil stuff first happened. I mean, they have their own calendar. They marketed themselves incredibly well, and they left Fresno State to go to the U in Miami because they knew they'd make even more money, which they have. And they actually, both of them, left the basketball program last year or right at the end of last year and then decided to come back, which I think was smart. Hannah and her sister Haley, the Cavender twins. So, I mean, they're very well known in college athletics. And Hannah's, I forget, one of them's a little bit better basketball player than the other.
Right.
But nevertheless, they've marketed themselves extremely well. So they were dating. She was dating Carson Beck, I think, last year, even when he was at Georgia. And we actually played the recent interview. She even said Carson didn't come to Miami because of her, which, he came because of the money that he was going to make. Which I believe is around $8 or $9 million, I think. I think Cam Ward got $7 million last year. I think he's, with his endorsement, Carson Beck has a shitload of endorsement. He's making a ton of money. So I can't speak if he's blowing through it or whatever. I know he had a couple of fancy cars, but my contention is all this other minutia on the side, I do not want affecting this team. And I know Mario Cristobal doesn't want it either. I just hope if he's physically able to play, I hope he does very well, obviously, with Miami. If not, I told you they got that freshman coming in who's a dual threat quarterback. And hopefully they plug him in. Either way, I mean, Carson Beck is probably going to be the starter if he is healthy. And we'll see how, hopefully, he will thrive in Mario Cristobal's on this offense. But I don't want to hear any of this bullshit anymore about, dating. And I know that it's AAA sport. It's professional sport. Some of these guys are making more money than they would now as opposed to a rookie contract in the NFL. So I don't want to hear about dating, this, that. I don't give a shit. Just stay out of the papers. Don't get arrested. Don't hit women. Don't do anything stupid on social media. Just focus on the damn game. And if you feel like going to school, you can do that too, which I really don't give a shit if they go to school or not. Doesn't matter to me. And I don't care if they graduate or not. And most of you shouldn't care either. I mean, it's good to have a degree to fall back on. I would never say don't get an education, especially if you're getting a free one. But most fans around the country do not. I mean, do you think people in Michigan or Ohio State really give a shit who graduates if they're keeping track of graduation rates in any sport? I mean, does it really matter? Titles matter. You want championship. You want the opportunity to compete. And if you can get an education, which 99% of the people should take advantage of, since like only 1% or less are going to actually make it to the pros in their respective sports, you should take advantage of getting a degree for free. But I'm just saying, for me personally, I don't give a shit. I just don't have to say that for you. I don't care. It does not matter to me. I want the Hurricanes back in the national. I want them to make the college football playoff. Let's get there first. And I want them to win the national championship. And if they graduate 2% of the players, that's on them. It's on the player, it's on the person, that's on the athlete or the athlete student, because it's athlete first and student second, whether you want to admit it or not. That's the way it is. And you do get those rare occasions where you have academic All-Americans and certain sports and certain universities and colleges, but that's nice. That's nice, but no one ever goes, hey, man, Mr. Widget over at, Miami of Ohio, God, so glad he graduated. I'm glad Miami of Ohio is going to compete for their first national championship. And I'm just throwing that school out. I mean, you think people care in the MAC conference who graduates and who doesn't? They care about their teams making it, being competitive, getting their respective conference tournament championship games and competing for postseason play. I mean, no one ever sits there around the water cooler, Angel, nobody, and goes, God, how about that graduation rate at USC? I mean, this is an outstanding. It's fantastic. No, around the water cruise, like, how the hell can these guys continue to not compete for a national championship? You know, what is going on? This, that, you know, I mean, you don't, people don't sit around the water cooler talking about graduation rates. Doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
It doesn't. You're right.
So I'm not, and all these athletes should take advantage of getting a free education. They could. They should. And a lot of them do. But I'm not sitting there getting all angry or agitated because this school or that school doesn't graduate. That used to be such a big thing. I remember Bob Huggins used to get a really bad rap when he was coaching at Cincinnati because of a graduation rate. Well, first of all, the NCAA screws you because they never counted JUCO transfers at the time. I think they do now. But if you were a JUCO for a couple of years and then transferred to a D1 school and graduated, which Bob Huggins did for some of those kids, it would count against it. They wouldn't count it. It's like you had to be at that particular. This is how stupid the NCAA was. You had to be at that particular school for 4 years for a coach to be counted as a graduation. You used to hear it all the time. Bobby Knight graduated. Great, wonderful. Graduate a whole bunch of players. A lot of coaches graduate a whole bunch of players. But I'll tell you what, you know, Indiana, and they usually did compete for a national championship under Bobby Knight. They didn't win it all the time. They won a few.
Right.
They had some excellent basketball teams, and I witnessed one firsthand in '87 with Keith Smart hitting the jumper at the end against Cuse. But, you know, I never for once pondered, God, boy, oh boy, that Indiana University team, boy, they graduated a lot of people. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Why should you? Why should you? Do you care if IU graduates 99% of his players but doesn't win a national championship, but say UCLA wins a national championship but only graduates 5%? Does anybody really going to give a shit if that is the case? Nobody is. Why should you? Why should you? Because you don't go to class, or you graduate this, or you don't, you know, and who knows what classes a lot of these kids are taking anyway. Who knows? They're taking golf as an elective, like a lot of people do. Kids stay in college for an extra year that have already graduated because they're making more nil money. I mean, it's nuts. I don't care if you graduate or not. Just don't hurt anybody. Don't get arrested. Win. Get my team to the college football playoff, you know, or March Madness, which is coming up. All right, let's see, Angel. If we could scroll down, a couple more videos. I told you earlier, teased earlier, if we could scroll down under awful announcing yesterday. Ryan Clark, this is like a Pete Sheppard type of quote. I did not see this live. I wish I did. Ryan Clark on Aaron Rodgers potentially joining the Steelers. And I love the analogy that he makes to the Lion King. It is absolutely hysterical.
Oh boy.
When you hear this. And hopefully those of you have seen Mufasa, the prequel to The Lion King that's just come out.
I think that Mike Tomlin can work with anybody. I think that the personality of Mike Tomlin is to find the best in any situation in order to help his team reach its fullest potential. But let's say you put Scar on the team. You know Scar from the Mufasa movies and Lion King, right? Yeah. Here it is. Mufasa is trying to be Scar's brother, right? Do you know what Scar's name was before Scar?
I don't.
It was Taka. Do you know what Taka meant?
No.
Garbage. Wasted. Yeah. That's exactly what could happen if you bring Aaron Rodgers in there. You can have a wasted season. You can have a garbage season. You can have a locker room that has to adjust to not only Aaron Rodgers, but Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers trying to figure out who's going to win the battle of what they want the offense to be. We know what Arthur Smith wants. He wants to run the football. He wants to get into play action pass. That's not the way Aaron Rodgers likes to play football. So it isn't about the personality of Mike Tomlin mixing with anybody, because he can coach anybody, relate to anybody. He can motivate anyone. But does it work with the X's and O's? And when the X's and O's don't work, and Omar Khan, the general manager of the Pittsburgh Steelers, says, okay, this piece isn't working, do we have to start it all over again in Pittsburgh and find a new quarterback? Yes, it looks great. right? It looks great that you got DK Metcalf and George Pickens out there, but you got 2 crash outs. So you're going to have 2 crash outs at wide receiver and then add the quiet crash out at quarterback? Hell no. This is not something that I feel in my soul as someone that loves the black and gold. I don't get all warm and tingly thinking about this.
Okay.
We're going to be like the Pride Lands. You know what the Pride Lands was? Yeah. That's where Scar and the Hyenas was.
That's the dark area.
That's where we're going to end up, where the shadows are cast. Nobody want to be where the shadows at, Greenie. Timon and Pumbaa ain't coming to save us. That little bird that runs around singing whatever song he was singing, Mighty King. No, that ain't it.
So no then.
Sorry.
So you don't like the move?
I don't like it.
Well, Nick, what do you think? I mean, the cross integration.
I'll never be able to watch Lion King again without thinking of Aaron Rodgers. It's Zazu, the bird.
Yep.
Jeez.
That was pretty good.
It was excellent. And if you haven't seen Mufasa, I think it's worth seeing. I liked it, and I always judge a movie by what I watch it again. I would watch it again. And yeah, because Scar's father in the movie is a real asshole. That's him. He actually called his son that, Taka, which garbage. That's why. And only after he betrayed Mufasa, towards the end of the movie, did he get the scar and all that stuff, and then help Mufasa actually at the. Anyway, it's worth seeing. But that is great. And I can't watch Lion King anymore without thinking Aaron Rodgers is going to somehow be involved in this. We can scroll up. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, before we go to break, we could scroll up to Ian Rappaport yesterday, the NFL, the insiders on NFL Network, talking about it's Aaron Rodgers' world, and we're just all living in it and waiting for him to stop dilly-dallying around. There you go, Ian. Thanks.
Yep.
I'd like to be on a golf course right now. Forget beach. I don't know what good a beach is. You get sand in your toes and it's just kind of boring. Golf course is a way better place to be. Beaches or whatever. Anyway, yes, first of all, I would agree with Mike on this, is that anyone who says they expect a Rodgers decision, fill in the blank, is wrong. I mean, Aaron Rodgers makes his own decision. He is on his own timetable. He does his own thinking, and this is the way it is. And this has been the way it is for the last several years of his career, which of course is amazing because the parallels to Brett Favre continue, because for so many off seasons it was like waiting on what Brett Favre decides to do. Now we're all waiting on Aaron Rodgers, who is methodical, who is plotting, and who does, because of his talents and because of the opportunity that he presents teams, he can just kind of do what he wants, which is really the way it has been, especially in the latter part of his career. If you're the Giants or if you're the Steelers, the only options are just to wait, which is what they're doing, or to say we need a decision by right now, to which he would say, cool, I'll just choose the other guy, and nobody wants to be that. Nobody wants to do that. So we are in a waiting game. Aaron Rodgers, it seems, is considering playing. It seems is leaning toward playing. The retirement option is, of course, still there. If he doesn't find an option that he likes, could just say, you know what, I'm good. I'm just going to be a full-time panelist on the Pat McAfee show and have that be it. We are all in Aaron Rodgers' world right now, and we have nothing to do but just kind of wait for him to speak his mind from whatever locale he's going to do it from.
Well, we'll see. Aaron Rodgers, and I still don't discount the fact maybe he doesn't want to play again. We'll get to Trevor Harris in a second here. I do want to tell everybody, and Angel, we'll keep it right here. But Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Massachusetts, is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. Get on down there to Phil's place at 184 Broadway in Saugus. Call them 781-233-7222. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Again, 184 Broadway in Saugus. Call 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus, be there. And also, for the best articles and audio, there's only one source that provides everything you need 365 days a year to satisfy your sports crave. It's Total Sports Prep. Staff combs through the best articles and audio so you don't have to. Sports and non-sports kicker stories will leave you laughing all day long. To get your free trial of Total Sports Prep, contact them, info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. That's info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. Total Sports Prep, the name says it all. All right, everybody. When you hear the Scorpions, and rock you like a hurricane. That can only mean one thing. Time to head across Alligator Alley. Parts unknown. Near the 305, but not in the 305. It's Trevor Harris from WQAM joining this morning, and usually his local hit, usually a hit on Thursday. Sometimes it's at 7:30, sometimes it's at 8, sometimes it's at 8:30. But at 8:04, Trevor, good morning and welcome. Now, I'll ask you right out of the gate, do you know anything about this Carson Beck, Hannah Cavendish situation? What the hell is going on over there? I just played the clip earlier. I don't know if you were watching about she just deleted all the posts. I don't want my quarterback's mind being messed with by a woman, heading into the season. So, and even though I love Hannah and Haley, and wish them all the best, and their calendars and their marketing, I mean, they're world famous practically. But have you heard anything? What the hell's going on?
So that we don't touch that down here in Miami, but we should touch that because it's the most entertaining thing because people want to hear what's going on.
Exactly. That's why I bring it up.
I like this type of drama anyways, but some people don't want to talk about it, which is an absolute shame anyways. So
why wouldn't you talk about it?
I don't know. I just don't.
Why? I mean, come on, man. What are you going to talk about? How the Heat are going to? What are you talking? Miami Dolphins have done shit. They've done nothing. I mean, they're just nobody's talking about the Dolphins. Nobody's talking to Miami Heat. The Florida Panthers, yes, absolutely, yes.
I'm going to be honest with you. The only thing they're mad about with the Florida Panthers is Ekblad getting popped for PEDs.
Yeah,
and I don't. And the only thing everyone's celebrating for is saying "F Boston." We took them down, and I'm looking at you guys. It's like, you're not going to even appreciate Brad Marshall. You're just going to say that. You guys are a bunch of losers anyway. It's like the Ray Allen effect you guys are trying to do on the spin on it. Stop it for real.
Well,
I don't appreciate the hockey team down here. They're just doing like, oh, F Boston. We took their soul anyways.
Well, yeah, and I blame Don Sweeney for not coming up on his offer, which was Brad wanted 7.5, Bruins offered 6.3. I think there could have been a happy medium. But regardless, I hope Brad goes there, and I hope they win it. I hope they win it again. Which wouldn't shock me. And it's going to just be
they're the only team in the East. They're the only team in the East. I'm telling everyone, like, wake me up when it's the Stanley Cup Finals. The East is literally, if it's the Panthers don't make it out of the Eastern Conference Final, it is a failure of the season. I'm saying that to make sure I'm the first one.
Well, it's hard to repeat. Let's be honest. Yeah. It's hard to repeat, but I think that it could very easily be them in Tampa Bay in the Eastern Conference Finals if the bracket.
That could be second round. Actually, that could be the second round playoff anyway.
Round, or it could be in the finals. No question.
Yeah, it'll be second round. Only if the finals will probably play Washington in the conference finals, but they'll probably smoke them anyways.
Yeah, and the Capitals, they won it a few years ago also. So, I mean, Ovechkin going for Gretzky's record and all that stuff. I couldn't believe the other night there were 7 goals scored by the Caps over the Ducks, 7-4, and he didn't score. He had 3 assists. And it bothered me because I put $10 on him scoring a goal at plus 1.5. I couldn't believe it.
I know too. I'm telling you this. The only reason to watch Ovi, what Caps does, the Ovi watch. I'm telling this to people, like, watch history. It's the best thing ever. It's like, just throw the game on.
Yeah, Gretzky's going to be following him around. Gretzky's following him around now. Like,
is that official now? Because I thought he would go when it's like 5 or 4, when it's really close. That's what
I think he's about to. That's what I mean. He's about to. I've heard.
Okay.
But again, I don't know why. So you're telling me nobody? Because this is the first I'm hearing. Because the last I knew about Carson Beck and Hannah Cavendish was her SUV getting stolen and his Lamborghini and Mercedes-Benz got stolen. I believe all 3 cars, I think, have been found. I believe at least hers was. But I don't follow a lot of the minutia. However, since if this was happening at UCLA, I wouldn't give a shit. But this is my team. My boys that I root for, and pretty famous guys making a shitload of money.
Oh yeah,
at Miami. I want his head. I want his head on straight if he's even able to go on August 31st when they host Notre Dame. So I think this should be talked about. I don't know how it's not.
I don't know I'm not in charge of the producers or the program and the content at all. But
do the hosts know what's going on? They gotta know.
You know what? I'm going to throw a text out to somebody saying, are we following this at all? Are we just sweeping this under the rug? If we're sweeping this under the rug, it's an absolute outrage.
I know it doesn't really mean a whole hill of beans, a whole scheme of things, as long as there's nothing physical involved. But there's something when they're probably the most 3 famous athletes at the U right now. And in that order, Carson Beck and the 2 Cavendish twins, who have marketed themselves brilliantly. But when you go on and you erase she says he never came to Miami because of her. Hannah did. And I believe her because you got a shitload more money coming to Miami than going other places.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, when you delete your boyfriend of at least a couple of years that I know of, you delete all the pictures. There's all the. I mean, it does throw up a little bit of a red
That's what all the
flag.
girlfriends do when you break up. They delete all the photos. It happened to me already. So
what? Well, I don't want to get in between you and your ex, but
no worries.
you know,
I found out about it. I was like, oh, whatever.
How could anybody break up with you? I mean, you know, happy and handsome that you are.
I don't
you
know.
You don't have to get into it unless you want to. Is it just a
we're good.
misunderstanding? Or is it just you fell out of love? Was there infidelity? I mean, what is the story?
I don't know. Well, that will lead
I don't know.
That is the mystery of all mysteries. It's maybe I should honestly pick up. Maybe I should read Inner Excellence more, or maybe try 100 essays to make you feel how to make the way you change your
You
thing.
have Inner Excellence, of course. Inner Excellence. Refresh everybody. That book was the one that was on the sideline.
Yes.
For who was it again?
AJ Brown. Yes.
AJ Brown.
So I got that for other reasons too, because it's I need to look for more positive outlook, especially during the winter time. Because I have a bad seasonal depression, I'll say, and I was like, you know what? Let me try this at least. So,
well, you know why you have a bad seasonal depression? Because you had to produce a whole bunch of Miami Hurricane basketball games this year, which was just I can't even imagine going through that. But the new coach, nevertheless, for Duke.
I'm excited for Jay Lucas. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I said this during when they got hired. Like, well, this won't be a country club like last couple of years. I felt like so. I'm ready for people to play defense. I'm ready for play hard. I just want people to play good Miami Hurricanes basketball, and I feel like we got people are taking for granted the last couple of years.
The Final Four team was amazing, and
Yeah.
I was there for the Sweet 16 games and the Elite 8 game, and I was there for the Final Four. So I was in Kansas City, then I was in Houston, and I was at the Kansas City stuff. I was actually at Indiana's team hotel. I was the only one that had Miami gear on. But we had a nice conversation, and it was funny because the Canes eliminated Indiana, the men and the women eliminated Indiana like in 48 hours. It was hysterical at the time.
That was an all-time.
Yeah.
Yes, I will say that was an all-time. People I love college basketball. People down here is like, is this big? It's like, yes, this is big. Come on. I know that you guys love the Miami Heat, the Heatles. Show some love for the Hurricanes basketball program. Let's make that. Let's make that place rock, anyways.
Yeah, I love the name of I forget the name of the arena they play in, but I love their home on campus arena.
The Watsco Center. How we doing?
Yes. Beautiful facility. No question about it.
I'll say this. I'm glad I got seasonal depression from doing all those Miami Hurricane games and also doing all those Miami Heat games the past couple of years. So it's like, I'm getting myself built up anyways. And plus the Heat love to blow 19-point leads no matter what in the fourth quarter, by the way, no matter who it is.
Well, the Celtics have had, I think the NBA, 20-point leads don't mean much anymore. They really don't. It's what you do in the last 4 or 5 minutes, like everybody says. I mean, the Celtics lost a tough one last night at home. SGA was outstanding. They just played a little bit better down the stretch.
I watched that game. That was a fun game.
Great game.
That was more entertaining than the local game down here, which was the Clippers beating the crap out of the Heat.
Speaking of college baseball,
yes,
and the Hurricanes, but did you see what happened in Minnesota yesterday?
No.
Okay, Angel, can we punch up that video? Don't tell him. Don't tell him the video that we played earlier.
But did you see last week that Mark Light Shake made a Philly cheesesteak style milkshake, by the way?
Yeah, I saw. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yes.
But this is something I have never seen on any level of baseball that happened yesterday in the Kansas Jayhawks win in Minnesota against the Gophers. And this is the stadium is where the Vikings play.
Okay.
Which the name escapes me at the moment.
But
this is something I have never, ever seen in my life. So we can run that, Angel, whenever you can.
Okay.
Watch and be amazed.
Diggins swings and sends this in the air to deep left center field. Back goes Easton Richter. He leaps up, and that is gone. Trying to get out number one. This is blasted to deep left field. And that is gone for a Kansas Jayhawks. Council drives this to deep left, and they go back to back to back. The 1-0 is hit to deep right. Back it goes, twisting towards the pool. It's a fair ball, and it's another home run for the Kansas Jayhawks. Make that, the second inning. And this is hit well to deep left. That is back, and that is gone. Wow. 5 straight home runs for the Kansas Jayhawks.
Back to back to
Diggins
back
swing.
to back to back. Never seen anything like that in my life. I've seen 3, obviously, a bunch of times.
Yeah.
I've even seen 4. The Red Sox did 4 against the Yankees once.
I remember watching that game.
But I have never seen, and maybe it's happened, I have never seen 5 home runs at any level. Little League, Legion, high school, Babe Ruth, T-ball. I've never seen 5 home runs hit in a row. And
that's nuts.
There's probably more balls hit out of the park than there were people in the stands for that game, by the way.
That's
How
what
much money did it cost to play that game with all that electricity in front of like 10 people? But have you ever seen?
I'm not gonna lie. That's a cool bandbox almost. You gotta give it up to the Minnesota Golden Gophers. They kind of reenacted the old Metrodome, the dimensions and the baggy wall. I gotta give it up to Vikings, letting them just go play baseball. We have nothing to do right now.
Yeah, and I think it was a pretty good day in the Midwest yesterday because I remember Jay Flanley was on with me Tuesday, and he was going to a Michigan game early on in Ann Arbor, and it was like 60 degrees that day. So maybe they're getting a little bit of a warm spell in the Midwest. But I've never back to back to back to back to back. Never seen that. We've never seen 5 home runs hit in a row.
I've seen 3 in a row. It was against the Dodgers.
3 and 4.
I've seen 3 against it was the Dodgers hit 3 off someone in the Pittsburgh Pirates in 04. And it was like, I think it's funny enough. I'll name drop. Sean Green was one of them, by the way.
Yeah.
The legend of Sean Green. So that is crazy, though.
Yeah.
So shout out to Kansas baseball.
Absolutely insane. Now, are you a golf guy?
I watched.
This is one of the majors that the casual fan. It's the 5th major, but everybody calls it. But it's one of those tournaments that even the casual fan will usually watch.
I have I pick my own majors. I choose the Torrey Pines Open, which is the Farmers Open. I don't know if they do that anymore. The Click Clack Open, aka the Waste Management Open. That's one of my favorites. That's the one I want to go to the most, actually, because everyone says I want to go to Augusta. I was like, no, I want to go to the Waste Management Open, which I'm working on that for next year. And I go over that, and I always throw the players in, and I always throw the U.S. Open in. So that's what I'm excited for the players this weekend. I will sit down and watch it a little bit of it, since I have to do the Florida Panther games, both games this weekend. So, yes, Hockey Night in Canada for one of them, actually.
Oh, really?
Yes, as they play the Montreal Canadiens.
That's you're working for the Canadian, the Hockey Night in Canada network.
No, I'm doing the Panther broadcast now. That's since they gave me an upgrade. So it's like, all right, we need you to do most of these Panther games. I was like, all right, we'll take them. We look high. I'm the true only hockey guy down here. So
hopefully, maybe get Brad Marchand playing this weekend. He was at the morning skate the other day for the Bruins, and that incredible Bruins comeback. I couldn't believe it.
I was producing that game, actually, and I was looking at it as like, I always say this, like, the Panthers always lose when they play in Boston when I produce. And I was looking at it, I was like, I was looking like the Boston Bruins will find a way to win this game, keep the streak going. And lo and behold, they did keep the streak going anyways.
Well, it was amazing. Last Saturday, they won at Tampa Bay. They played one of the best games after all hell broke loose, and they won 4-0, and they come back and score 3 in a row against Florida. And win that. They're still only a couple points out of a playoff spot, but other teams have a couple, 2 and 3 games in hand on them. It's going to be it would take an absolute freaking miracle for them to get in. It would be crazy. I'm still pissed at Don Sweeney for not for letting Marchand go. If the negotiations were that close and he just decided not to. And anyway, I hope Brad goes on. I hope they win another Stanley Cup in Florida.
It'll be interesting. I was going to say I want the Bruins in the playoffs, but I understand why you don't want them in the playoffs anyways, because they've just mismanaged the whole thing anyways. So,
but they'd be one of those things where they win in spite of
ownership.
And ownership. Big East tournament is going on. Lots of college basketball. Big East tournament is going on, and this is why I say to everybody why. And I don't care who gets insulted from the Pac-12 or the Big 12 or the Big 10, the ACC. I don't give a shit. At Madison Square Garden, there is nothing like it. You cannot tell me. Last night, and I'm looking at it right now, and I watched Georgetown, DePaul, which most people could care less about. Two teams that aren't going anywhere unless they win the Big East tournament outright.
Yep.
But they were at DePaul last night, and the final minute, 18,000 people are still there. Not St. John's playing, DePaul and Georgetown playing, completely sold out, standing room only. Everybody standing for the final seconds of that game with DePaul upset, a minor upset over Cooley and the Georgetown Warriors. But that is the difference. That is like a play-in game in the Big East tournament. First game, my beloved Friars lost to Butler. No surprise here. They finished their worst season since 1985. But it just goes to show you the passion of the Big East tournament. When you have 18,000 people, standing room only, all standing at the end for Georgetown, DePaul.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what that's going to be like today when Butler will play St. John's at noon?
That's going to be a job. It's going to be, I'm not going to lie. Everyone who went to St. John's and worked in New York City is like they took off work today anyway. So like I'm expecting everybody at that game. The city may not work today or tomorrow, and the stock exchange may be a big problem going on anyways.
No, there's no question. When the Big East tournament happens, everything else is secondary. I don't care. Rangers, Knicks.
Yeah, I've been to the Big East tournament. It's probably my favorite to go to.
Phenomenal. I've been to two of them. I love it. There's nothing better. It really is. I just wish my Friars had gotten closer.
I just wish, like, my thing with these tournaments, I just wish they were in like cool spots, like with history. Like, I wish the ACC was in Miami because I know it would be perfect. Like I know people don't want to do it because of spring breakers and stuff, but put it somewhere cool at least. If you put it in New York, like at Brooklyn, that's kind of cool anyways, you know. So that's just me.
Yeah.
The ACC tournament. Just put it in a good spot wherever you can get to, like we can get a direct flight to. Like I don't know if you can get a direct flight from like Berkeley to get to Charlotte, but like come on, let's put it in a good spot.
Crazy. Now it's just absolutely crazy. All right, what else is going on? So you're producing this week. The Miami Dolphins are like so under the radar now. Even all these NFL talks, the Patriots have made a huge splash so far. A lot of other teams, the Eagles signed, they lost a couple players, but they also re-signed a whole bunch of players.
They lost a lot of players.
Yeah, but they signed, and that's how good they are. They can give up Milt Williams to the Patriots and they still signed a lot of guys. They're going to be just fine.
I'm bummed. The only one I'm bummed about is CJ Gardner-Johnson. That was my dude anyways. He used the heart of the defense. He kind of told those other people to bleep you. Honestly, I feel like we're not gonna.
Yeah, you're a big Eagle fan.
I know. I know. Like, just I'm doing some construction back here, anyways, trying to redo this whole background for coming beings.
In the dorm room.
Yeah. So people are asking, like, if people are wondering why there's no flag missing, we're redoing the room back here.
Oh, nice. That's good.
But I'm like the CJ Gardner-Johnson one. That's my big one I have for the Eagles right now. So, but I did
see. Now this might have got this. Did you see the video of Tua on the boat with that fucking beer gut of his?
Yes, I did see that.
Wow, that is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous.
People are fat shaming
not, because the big story of all these NFL free agent signings is you got the immortal Zach Wilson, so he'll fit right in.
The Miami Mormon is going to go wild right now. I'm ready. He's going to probably hit a blue martini sooner or later. So
I love blue martini.
I do. I'll say this: if Zach Wilson comes down, just stay away from my area, so we're good to go. Anyways, I have to make the boundary of like not Zach Wilson allowed. Anyways.
All right, buddy. So what's your schedule? Are you producing a couple of games this week?
Producing the weekend's games of the Florida Panthers. I'm splitting those for the rest of the year with my buddy Vlad. I got Hotline next Tuesday in high school sports. I already produced that. Upper Bowl podcast is out. We did American League and National League baseball previews these past 2 weeks, so we got that going.
Excellent. The Marlins will be trading everybody by midseason.
Sandy Alcantara is the perfect Yankee.
Yeah, Alcantara, he's out. I want the Red Sox to get him. So,
I'm honestly, I go by this. I just want the Marlins going to be giving out $5 tickets. The Cubs are playing in May. I'm probably going to go to one of those games, and I'm going to probably do my baseball games elsewhere, like maybe Tampa Bay, so I can go see what's like to be in an outdoor stadium for a Tampa Bay Rays game at least.
People, they got nowhere else to go.
Anyway, they should do just go to Orlando, build like on Disney theme park, and just call them your Orlando Rays at least. So
Well,
I'm a better city planner than these raised people are. So.
Unbelievable. It's unreal. Trevor, you're the man. Thanks so much. And we'll check in with you next week, buddy. All the best. There's Trevor Harris from WQAM in Miami, where apparently the hosts over there don't want to talk about Carson Beck and Hannah Cavender. But anyway, that's what makes us great. On this show, we talk about everything. I usually don't get caught up on the minutia stuff, but this is pretty big. And it's pretty big to me because it's my team that I want to see do well, and I don't want any distractions heading into the season. So, all right, quick break. Rick Horrow, our sports business guru, back from New Zealand, and lots to discuss with him when the Pete Sheppard Show continues here on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Hey everybody, it's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding.
Whoa!
Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A Teenager. Learning the Lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
The Pete Sheppard Show. It's fun for the whole family, if it's dysfunctional.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Pete Sheppard Show here. It is turning out already to be a beautiful day here in Southwest Florida. Hope it's great wherever you are. Tell me what you got. Anyway, can't believe he's passed away. A lot of people don't know, but celebrity chef Antonia LaFaso was married to him back in the day. They have a daughter together, too. Great young lady. Can't remember her name. Anyway, thanks for checking us out here on the Pete Sheppard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. Again, a lot of useless facts that I can come up with for you. Thanks for checking us out across the video platform. Following me on Twitter, X at PShep326, on 2 Facebook pages, or a couple of Facebook pages, or 3 or 4, whatever it is. My Facebook page, Coastal Sports Network Facebook page. And if you share it on your Facebook page, too. Check us out, CSN Florida, on Rumble, YouTube, LinkedIn, and call or text the show, 727-858-6650. I got to get the show on my LinkedIn page, Angel. I keep forgetting to do that. And I don't know if we can do that through our system here, but I'd like to do that.
We can do
I don't
that
check my LinkedIn page a lot. I don't. But I know a lot of people are on it. I have a lot of people that follow me, and I think it'd be a good addition for the show, right? And everybody, all the shows on the network, if you know, on my LinkedIn page, because what else you got to do, you know?
Exactly. No, we can do it for the low price of $49.95 plus shipping and handling. And if you apply now, we'll send your second LinkedIn for free.
It's like Ronco studs back in the day.
Exactly.
Ronco studs. You know, people would get this mini stapler and put stuff on your pants and make, I don't know, just when bell bottoms were big, I guess. Anyway, now always call or text the show 727-858-6650. Waiting patiently for Rick Horrow, the sports business guru, to join him. Just like that is absolutely amazing. There he is. Back from Kiwiville in New Zealand, where I know he's not going to be able to tell you. I'm going to break the news for you that Rick Horrow is trying to finance the Tampa Bay Rays to move to New Zealand. That's why he was gone for a couple of weeks. And, you know, the Rays with a Kiwi emblem, that would look really good. Good morning, Rick Horrow. How are you? Thanks for checking in.
Well, first of all, let me make sure that the camera is sliding.
Perfection.
You're slippery anyway. I don't need a camera that's slippery. So I congratulate you for feeding the hamster such that the camera's working and the studio's working. Yeah. How are you? Good to see you. That person behind you there on the beach. He must be mummified because he stayed there for like 6 straight weeks, and that's okay, no problem. So let me just do this so it doesn't slide off the page for you.
Perfect right now. Don't move him much.
How's that? Is that good? You like that?
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So Tampa Bay.
New Zealand was great. Yeah. Auckland was great. We're going to move the team to Wellington. It's a town in New Zealand that has about 400,000 people. It's perfect given the Rays' prior attendance. and the government seems not to be willing to finance a new stadium, which is, after all, no different than Southwest Florida. So we'll have to see what happens. In all seriousness, a lot of golf. Watch the FIBA qualifier between New Zealand and the Philippines. In basketball, saw the stadium at Eden Park where the All Blacks play rugby. You know, they're the best team in rugby's world.
Mm-hmm.
And just an incredible week and a half. And the other thing is, when you fly backwards, it's a 17-hour trip, but you get there 4 hours earlier than when you left. So what I'm going to continue to do is try to fly east, and like Benjamin Button, I'm going to end up at like 22 years old so I can kick your ass on the golf course. Oh, wait, I don't have to wait till I'm 22 to do that. I can do that now.
Anyway. And what about the daylight savings time? Did it affect you? You know that
Man, time you know, I didn't factor that in. I just looked at my clock. I tried to figure out how to call the States for a couple of weeks. And then at the end of the day, it was, you know, waking people up at 3 a.m. and apologizing. Then I just looked at my world clock because that was the only way to do it. It's, you know, when you live at the other side of the world and you're doing business there, it's kind of hard anyway, because, you know, you and I, we're used to simple pleasures and simple things.
Well, I got to tell you, and speak of simple things, and, you know, I'm a big nerd geek, but did you, by chance, in your travels through New Zealand, did you get to go to any of the Hobbits, you know, Lord of the Rings, any of that stuff? Because the sets are still there, stuff is still built. That'd be my first. My wife's been to Australia. I have not been to Australia or New Zealand. That's my first stop. I would geek out and go to everything Lord of the Rings.
So I had a philosophical issue to deal with. I had one full day between speeches before I started playing golf, and it was do that, which was 3.5 hours each way to and from Auckland. The drive is fine, but it's a bit tedious. Or do the Maori village combined with the geothermal sulfur explosion. And as you know, anything that spews toxicity out of its orifice is a cousin of mine. So I needed to see where my relative was. So I would rather do the geothermal stuff. But that, if I go back to the North Island again, I would recommend that to anybody. It's all there. It's a major tour, as you know, and a lot of tourists do that. They have the talking, walking sets. It's a full tourist onslaught to go there.
That's unbelievable. Now, getting back into the Rays and the situation. Now, you were in Australia when Rob Manfred came out last week and basically said, "Shit or get off the pot. I'm tired of this nonsense, so I'm going to make you move." I know you know Rob a little bit. I know you're totally aware of the situation, but did it surprise you that when he made those comments last week?
Well, look, all the stuff that Rob Manfred does, you would hope, I know with prior commissioners, and I'm assuming this one, is carefully orchestrated. And the idea is, how do you put together the kind of final mandate and speak with credibility from baseball? Now, when he advanced the split city plan with Montreal, remember, that frankly didn't get past the executive committee and probably shouldn't. And the whole idea of expansion for the markets that are in play, and I consider Nashville, to some extent, Salt Lake, certainly Austin, Texas. There are a few others that are in play. And are we ready for expansion yet? We don't really know. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things where if your existing team goes somewhere, well, that takes up an expansion market. It takes up the expansion fees, and it also kind of waves the white flag in Tampa, although it does mean that someone else can come in and start fresh and maybe, you know, reapply, because no one says Tampa Bay is not a baseball area. They just say the stadium's in the wrong location and maybe it's been the wrong leadership to get it done. So it is orchestrated. We'll have to see how it all shakes out. And, you know, these things don't get done, my friend, until there is a gun and more than a gun. Remember, to get the guaranteed rate field and the soon-to-be relegated Chicago White Sox, they had to move the clock back at the Illinois legislature years ago to stay within the deadline and pass the legislation because the moving trucks were about to be backed up in Chicago to head to St. Pete. So it is ironic.
I get it, and I feel for the reporters. I said this to Angel the other day. Anybody covering the Rays, and I feel bad for the local reporters out there who are trying to get a grasp and trying to do a good job. But and just when you think something could get, I mean, the story changes. It seems every single day, Rick. I don't know who to believe.
Well, you don't believe the reporters, not because they don't do a good job, but these deals, as you know, that I've been involved in, are not done in the newspaper. The political awareness is done in the newspapers, but not the specifics of what's happening and the details. And so, the idea of not making stuff up, but going after every crumb, is the best the local reporters can do. I mean, do you feel sorry for a beat reporter for a team where he chases down every false free agent claim that a general manager makes in order to throw another team off track?
That's different.
Or do you feel sorry for just reporters generally because they're reporters?
No, in general, I don't. But in this situation, I feel for a couple who I've had on the show, and just, I mean, I feel the frustration. It's not just the reporters. Obviously, it's the fans that are left, if there are any left, real Tampa Bay Ray diehard fans. What must be going through their mind? I mean, it's got to be frustrating as hell.
Well, and here's the frustration, really, and this is factual. The frustration is, I've done, I don't know, 100 of these, and it's they're harder every year. They're more complicated every year. And this is so subjective, you really don't know, but the average time between the first time somebody in a community says, we better get a stadium done, we better redo the lease, we better get a new stadium done, and the time the new stadium, renovated stadium opens, it's about 11 years. Really, it's a lot of time. And it's about 8 failures, which means they try, they fail. It's like, remember Sevy at the Ryder Cup. How do you make a 6? I miss, I miss, I miss, I miss, I miss, I make. It's like stadium stuff. We miss, we miss, we miss, we fail. We finally get one done. So the frustration is that the Tampa Bay area has exceeded its number of industry trending and related failures. Now it's time to get it done.
And just before we move on again, but speculation, the Yankees have already said this is a one and done deal. You're not hanging out at our stadium, next year. We'll gladly have your 10,000 people, for this season. But worst case scenario, in your opinion, if what happens to the Rays? They can't use, Steinbrenner Stadium next season. And they, as they say in, an officer and a gentleman, I got nowhere else to go. I mean, what happens?
Yeah, there are a couple of public parks. I play tennis at a park, and there are 20 bleachers down the street in St. Pete. They could use that. I'd also, I'm not too worried about what the deadlines are for next year. It's not as if Steinbrenner Field gets torn down and used for something else. So the fact that the Yankees are saying one and done, maybe it's two and done. Maybe it's one and done because you got 6 weeks to make a deal for a long-term deal. So it's 1.5 and done. So I get the reason why everybody's saying it's one and done, because deadlines make deals happen earlier. But I think now people have shifted into serious. Oh, wait, they shifted into serious 8 other times. So we'll see.
Yeah, speaking of one and done, Garrett Cole. Oh, too soon? Sorry about that. Anyway, wish him well. Wish
nice. Well done, by the way.
Why are you not at the TPC Sawgrass, or are you going up north to the TPC Sawgrass at some point this weekend?
Well, after this interchange, what I'm deciding to do quickly is hang up and go right back to New Zealand, because I don't want to deal with you anymore. I didn't want to deal with you then. I certainly don't want to deal with you now. Here's what I'm doing. It's interesting. I'm going to the Savannah Bananas on Saturday night. I interviewed Jesse Cole, the owner of the Bananas.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That is an incredible deal. I assume,
they were just here
are you going to go?
They were just here a couple weeks ago in Fort Myers. I did not get to go, but my good friend Lou Maloney was there, and he says there's a lot of dancing around, but it's extremely entertaining. I see all the highlights.
Well, you realize they're going to have 60,000, they claim, at Raymond James.
Oh, I believe it.
Which is worth watching as an event.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a charity golf tournament tomorrow in Orlando. Then I'm going to go to the Phillies on Saturday afternoon in Clearwater. Sunday, I got a golf game in Sarasota. Monday, you don't care about all this. I'm just telling you.
No, I
Monday,
do care.
I'm
I
going to
do
do
care.
the Valspar. I interviewed and spent time with Rondé Barber, who is amazing, and going to go over there for the Valspar Monday. Then I've got a game on Tuesday and then back. So I'm going to watch the players on TV. I'm at the players every year. And, you got to make choices. There's only, I've lost a lot of weight, but that's not the issue
You look
now.
great.
There's only
Honestly,
so much of me to go around.
As Fernando Lamas, you look marvelous. You do with the dimple thing. You look happy and handsome. Fantastic.
Yeah.
March Madness is honestly you do. Honestly you look fabulous. The March Madness right around the corner. What I love, and I will argue this with anybody, there really is no argument. The Big East tournament is by far the greatest conference tournament, has been since its inception at Madison Square Garden. After the first couple of years, they went there. When you have 18,000 people, Sardine City, standing room only at the end of a DePaul Georgetown game, which really means nothing for either of those teams. They're not going to the tournament unless they win the Big East outright. But that was amazing. I mean, my beloved Friars lost earlier, but to have DePaul Georgetown, 18,000 people staying for that game, and when it came down to the wire, DePaul minor up, but it's just phenomenal. But I know you have a lot of thoughts about March Madness in general and the money that it generates. But to me, MSG is still king.
Here's my first thought. Angel, are you there?
Yes, he's there.
Okay, good. You don't have to talk. Just do me a favor. The part where he said I look marvelous, will you delete that? It's unhealthy. It's perverted. I don't want him talking about what he thinks I look like. All right, just get that off of there, because there are many other people whose opinions I covet a lot more than that man. But I appreciate his sentiment. So as to your question. There are 31 of those tournaments. And the last year, if you remember, the women, at least in the finals, outdrew the men. And the conference week, I'm spending a lot of time on that with all my national stuff this week, because people don't give enough credit to what you just said, which is when Selection Sunday happens and you have the play-ins Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you have unproductive 3 days. You remember, by the way, next week, and we'll talk about those numbers, but it is basically a $17 billion productivity loss, according to those amazing consultants who do this every year. The people that sneak the digital and watch the games instead of work. Now that most people work from home, it's a lot easier to do. But at the end of the day, you've got basically 9 million people watching the first 3 days, more than ever before, and it continues to rise. And then you've got about 29% of March Madness folks saying they would rather watch on digital anyway. But that's the second week. I could consider this the first week because, now everybody, it's not just team 65, 66, 67 in the tournament, but it's almost every team in the history of the world that has a chance, because even the teams, except Miami, who was so bad they didn't even get in, but, there are teams who are last seed in the conference championship. Well, if we win 6 in a row and we catch lightning in a bottle, we're in the tournament, then we keep going. Well, that ain't going to happen. But at the end of the day, you monetize hope and you continue to move forward. That's the beauty of this tournament. Beginning of last week, almost every team had a mathematical or theoretical chance to get to the tournament, which was amazing.
No, it is. I think Delaware nearly did it. They finished last in their conference regular season, and they got all the way to the final game. I can't remember if they won or not in the championship. That's the beauty of it. And so what? I know there'd be a 16 seed and probably get bounced out, but you do never know. After Maryland, Baltimore County upset Virginia a few years ago. It can happen. So a 16 beating of 1 has happened. I just love the beauty of the tournament anyway. Now, whether they're going to expand it, and as we're on it real quick, do you think expansion is coming? There's been talk about it because technically it's the only sport in the NCAA where 24% of the teams they're not at that, whatever that percentage is, when you compare it to all the other sports, the teams that make their respective tournaments. People are arguing there's room for the NCAA to expand. Would you like to see expansion or not?
Well, 2 issues that whether I like to see it is irrelevant. Whether it's going to happen is more relevant, and I think it is. And here are 2 reasons why. Number one, about 19% of Americans admit that they participate in March Madness betting pools last year. First of all, where are the other 81%? We all do it. I mean, just suck it up and admit it. I mean, that's a low number. And the point is, the more gambling, the more avidity, then people from schools that are not basketball powers, even in the majors or mid-majors, get to participate in a conference where ACC is a good example this year. Maybe they get 3. But if it's expanded, you can't be silly, but maybe you get 4 and 5 on a down year. And that, what is number 2? It adds to the revenue. We've got that House versus NCAA name, image, likeness, lawsuit payment, settlement coming up soon. Someone's got to find the money. And the money is a combination of NIL, corporate sponsorship money, about $200 million annually from corporations into the NCAA tournament. But you got to find more. Got to find more from everywhere. Got to find more from TV, gambling, corporate, etc. How do you do it? You expand the tournament. So I think it's going to happen. Have you thought about a little bit more taking back that "you look fabulous" remark? Because some people who join this may not understand your ulterior motives. So you need to stop and move on.
I have no ulterior motives. I speak from the heart, and you do look marvelous. I mean, you're well tanned. Okay. You look fantastic. You lost some weight, and I'm in all seriousness, probably better for your golf game. You usually hit the ball right down the middle anyway, as opposed to me.
Yes,
down the middle of the road.
If I knew that giving you a little bit of grief would spawn a series of legitimate, realistic compliments, I would continue to do that. So thank you.
All right, before I let you go, now, I brought this up earlier. Not that I should get involved in minutiae of college sports and all that bullshit, but, my man Carson Beck, who hopefully he'll be ready to start against Notre Dame on the 31st. If not, I still think they have a good kid coming in who's 18 years old, like his name escaped. But anyway, I don't want my man distracted by Hannah Cavender. Now, I know they've been dating for a couple of years, but apparently there is some nonsense going. Apparently they broke up. She deleted all the pictures of him on her Instagram account and whatever. And there seems to be, I don't want my man having some tension in the air heading into the season because he and Hannah Cavender are no longer an item. It's bad enough that his Lamborghini and Mercedes and her SUV got stolen a couple of weeks ago. I believe all 3 cars have been found. But, you got any insight to that minutia going on with all that?
I just got back. I'll test the seriousness of all of that. My first instinct is, love is blind. They'll get over it. Who knows? But I don't want him transferring again. I mean, I guess it's not possible that he's going to do that, even this late date, because there's no reason for him to stay. And we need to test the veracity of that, because to me, Carson Beck makes the one and done nature of Cam Ward. It makes it easier to deal with. I'm a Duke guy, as you know, and it is hard to believe that basically Cooper Flagg, you could say it's not going to happen, but Cooper Flagg is 2 losses away from ending his career at Duke, and it's unbelievable. You get into a rhythm of watching the best in the world play for a team that you love, and then it's ripped away from you. So, Carson Beck is going to be, especially with this line that Miami recruits, right? And these fast backs. Mm-hmm. And, to lose 6 receivers simultaneously, but that means that the recruits are going to be easily signed because they'll be starting earlier. And Carson Beck will have a hand in who they are. I can't wait for the Notre Dame game, but he's got to be there. He ought to be there happy. That would be nice, but he better be there.
No, there's no question about it. And last thing, I saw you stopped on your way back and you at UCLA, watched the Bruins play at Jackie Robinson Stadium. How was that?
That's a beautiful park, and nobody knows the kind of inner workings of college baseball at the highest level. Mm-hmm. You've been to the A-Rod renovated Mark Light Stadium when Ron Frazier was the U of M coach. Mm-hmm. And the Morris and some of the other guys down the road. You also know what it means to have good time college baseball programs, Texas, Skip Bertman, LSU, et cetera, et cetera. I'd never been to a West Coast college baseball game. I was going to go to Southern Cal's game. They weren't there, but the UCLA one fit well for my plane change from Auckland, LA to South Florida, and to watch that in that space. And they throttled Michigan 22-5, which is it's a regular season non-conference game, but just the ambiance of that stadium and college baseball. It's college baseball obviously has taken a tremendous leap now that people watch it pretty significantly on ESPN and otherwise, and they always have, but not to this level. But when you watch it live at a place like UCLA, it's amazing, and it only gets better.
Yeah, and if afterwards when you go, if you feel like it scrolled out, he's gone. Just like that. Wow, I made it through the whole thing. I think his camera fell. I was going to say, watch the Twitter feed. I was going to, before we let you go, on my Twitter feed yesterday, I saw something I've never seen in my life in the Minnesota Golden Gophers hosting the Kansas Jayhawks in a college baseball game. And Kansas hit back to back 5 straight home runs against the Gophers. Anyway, there he is, gone. Gone. Will he come back? Anyway, Rick, if you can hear me, that's okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. And we'll catch you next week as well. Hopefully on the... Oh, there he is. No, nothing wrong with me. This was fantastic. So thanks, Rick, so much. Appreciate you. I was saying... there it goes again. All right, I'm not going to repeat myself. It's all right, Rick. We'll talk next week. Thanks a lot. Jeff Nixon coming up in a few minutes here as well, PGA professional. We're going to get into the...
Jeff is on the line.
Oh, Jeff is on the line. There he is, Jeff Nixon, PGA Pro. How are you, my friend? I know you're on the road traveling. Thanks for taking a few minutes. How is everything, sir?
It's good, Pete. It's good. It's great to hear your voice. And, yeah, things are good, man.
Yeah, I mean, tell everybody what's going on. You're still, you're still a newlywed, right? You know, a few months ago, glad you're happy and handsome and happily married. Not former pro, PGA pro, formerly at Stony Brook down here in Southwest Florida, where you hosted many events when I was at my old place of employment, and you still have a show there on Sundays. Georgia versus Kentucky. We'll get into Carson Beck in a second because I know what a big sports fan you are. But I wasn't sure. I thought maybe you might be headed up to Punta Verde today, and or maybe you are this week to go see. What I was one of my and everybody's favorite tournament of the year. One of them, anyway.
No, I have played there several times, but I never go to the event. I've never gone to the event there. I usually go to the Masters, but actually this year, myself and my wife are going to go to the RBC at Hilton Head. We have some friends that live there in Bluffton, South Carolina, and we're going to go visit them and go to that because I've always loved that event. And, I wanted to see it. But as far as the Players' Championship is concerned, one of my favorite events of the year, if not my favorite. Mm-hmm. I am sadly disappointed that we won't see Bryson and we won't see Brooks and we won't see several of the best players in the world there because they've decided to go on to a different tour. But still, nothing better than the drama of the Players' Championship coming down the stretch, and you got to hit a 135-yard shot over water. There's nothing like it.
Proud to say I did a charity event there back in 2004, the year the Patriots beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl, and they had a charity event for the media. I think I told you this before. We paid $50. You got 3 shots at it. It all went to charity. So I was 1 for 3. I came close with the other 2. But I remember back in the day, in the late 70s, early 80s, when that course was built first, and they had the stands that were made out of grass and everything initially. But that hole is only about usually plays between 137 and about 145 for the tournament. But it's just why is it such a spectacle? And it still is. I mean, it's like a good song holding the test of time. What makes the 17th at TPC so special?
It's just a very nervy shot. I can tell you, I've played it probably 7 times in my lifetime, and I've made 2 there and I've made 7 there. Yeah. It's just like, It's just such a nervy shot going across that water. And you're talking about a life-changing win for those guys. I mean, 10-year exemption. You don't have to really worry about anything after that's, over on tour, multi-millions of dollars. And, it's just it's the fifth major for a reason. I mean, it's a big event.
$25 million, $25 million prize pool this year. Jesus.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's life-changing money. I mean, it's, like if one of the like if Scotty didn't win again, or, if you saw like a no-name win it, it just changes their trajectory of their career and their lives.
And just sticking with the 17th again, I mean, I've seen balls hit in the middle of the green and then roll off into the water, being gobbled up by an alligator. I mean, it's really that green is. I don't think television does it justice until you see the ball roll off after it hits in the middle, right? I mean, it's crazy. Depending on, I mean, the flag placement is critical, especially on Saturday and Sundays, right?
Yeah, the Sunday placement is always just so difficult, and you don't really understand how difficult it is unless you've been on that green and putted. I mean, there's so much movement in the green, and when they put it on that far right side, I mean, it's you're shooting to a 10-foot target area under that kind of pressure. It's the ultimate test in some levels.
All right. Well, so far I'm looking at the updated scoreboard. We have it just started. It's about an hour and a half in, but Sam Stevens is on top with Davis Riley at 2 under. They have a 1-stroke lead of a whole bunch of Americans. It's really only CT Pan is in there in the top 10 right now. But anyway, who do you like? Who do you like to win it again this year? Who do you like?
Colin Morikawa.
You saw his caddy yesterday, right?
I did. I did see his caddy yesterday, and I wasn't really happy with his comments about not talking to the press after Arnold Palmer. But I think he's on a mission to win now. He's gone 14, 15 months without a win, and he seems very determined at this point in his career. So I think he's playing good golf. He's hitting the ball good. He's putting good. I think he's the guy to beat this week.
Fantastic. And I know you're busy. I'll let you go in a minute or so. I do want to talk a little, college football with you because you're a huge fan. Obviously, you're a Bulldogs through and through, and all that stuff. I'm a Canes fan. We recently had a friend of ours, Evan, passed away. A friend, Rick Church, and we talked a little bit there. That's when Miami was before they lost to Georgia Tech. But I want to ask you about your thoughts about I mean, you're a huge Bulldog fan. You follow everything they do. Your thoughts about Carson Beck, not only leaving Georgia, coming to Miami, where he's probably making a little bit more money. He has a Lamborghini and Mercedes-Benz stolen recently, I'm sure you know. Now, apparently, he's broken up with Hannah Cavender. And he's got to worry about the elbow issue going in. He's not going to play spring ball. He won't be ready. Hoping he's ready for the Canes August 31st against Notre Dame. But what are your overall impressions about Carson Beck? You glad he's out of Georgia? And I've seen him play enough. I mean, I like him overall, but I understand why some Georgia Bulldog fans hated him.
Well, he's a tremendous talent. Pete. I mean, he is tremendous, and I loved him at quarterback. But then I didn't really like the way he would throw it to the other team. And I think that like any young man in his early 20s, with a lot of money, all of a sudden, beautiful girlfriend at another university in Miami. He got a little mentally lost, and you could tell that Gunner had won the locker room. That none of the Bulldogs are going to go against Carson because they know of his talent and they know he's probably more talented than Gunner, but they loved Gunner. That was their guy, and you could see in that Texas game when Gunner came in, the whole mood of the Bulldogs changed. And I worry that at Miami, will he be able to hold the locker room? I mean, will they buy into him, and will he come back with his talents that he has? And I hope he does. I don't hold him any ill will. He had a great year. I mean, as I will tell Rick Church, forever. Michigan was very lucky to get that national title because if it hadn't been for a 3-point loss to Alabama, I am 100% assured in my heart that we would have been a 3-time national champion.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there. By the way, when you do your show with Rick on Sunday, if he's there, if you go on my Twitter page, I don't know if you have a Twitter account, I can't remember now, but make sure you play the highlights of the Minnesota Golden Gophers yesterday hosting the Kansas Jayhawks. Did you see what happened in the college baseball game? I've never seen anything like it.
I did not.
Kansas went back to back, 5 straight home runs in the Viking Stadium where they play. I've never seen anything like that in sports. Never. Not at any level of baseball have I seen 5 home runs in a row. It was insane. And I know he's more of a Duluth guy.
I will make sure he sees that.
All right. And so... Again, what are you doing nowadays? I lose track of everybody's resume. I mean, PGA pro that you are and everything. I know you're a minority owner of a local golf course as well. What else is going on with you? What can I plug for you?
Well, I mean, it's not so much plug. I mean, I work for one of my good friends, high school teammate of mine, Nick Mattoni. He owns a G2Z Turf Service. We rehab golf courses. Grassing, and I do some stuff with. He also owns a fountain company. I work with them. Awesome. I retired from Stony Brook from the club pro business, and then I wound up coming out to Meyer Lee, just talking to my old superintendent who's out here, and had an opportunity to buy a minority ownership. I did that. And I'm involved with them a little bit. So, I was trying to de-stress my life, Pete, after 30 years in the club pro business, worrying about, who got what tea time and did you make sure everybody was happy? I was trying to de-stress my life. I've seemed to, in the last 6 months, found even higher levels of stress.
And you also, maybe before you left there too, you also renovated Stony Brook, which is, it's never looked better. I know you had a big say in all of that, right? Too.
Yeah, we did some work there, and I know Stony Brook is looking to be regrassed probably in 2027. But I mean, John Vuknik, the superintendent there, is a miracle worker. The golf course is amazing. I mean, can't say enough good things about what goes on there, and I still love those guys. I just after my medical problems, I decided, I need to de-stress a little bit, and I'm not doing too good at that, Pete, but it's okay.
Well, you're the best. Say hi to Andy, your partner on the radio show on Sundays over at ESPN Southwest Florida. Great guy. I love the Georgia Kentucky rivalry. That well, it's not much of a rivalry, but maybe he's got you on the basketball side again.
We beat him in basketball this year, which was like I never let him forget that.
and is it you or him? Who's the one that does the uncle, the uncle character that is absolutely?
Cousin Jimmy. You talking about Cousin Jimmy?
I can listen to hours of that overall. It's like the radio version of Forrest Gump.
We had a lot of fun with that. Actually, Cousin Jimmy's been in a Nevada jail, according to what we tell the listeners. So he might be getting paroled soon. The football season is coming up in a few months.
Do I dare ask why he is in jail? What did he do? Felony?
Well, he spent many years in incarceration, and we first met him. He was incarcerated, known for selling moonshine, or you would say the clear. Clear.
Oh man, you're the best, Jeff. This has been great. Thanks so much. Let's do this again. Sooner rather than later. Wish you all the best, and say hi to Andy and Rick and everybody over there. And Miss most of you. Let's put it that way. But anyway, have a thanks so much and continued success. And we'll talk soon.
Thanks, buddy. Talk to you soon.
All righty. Take care. That is one of the great guys in the business, Jeff Nixon. Outstanding. You can catch him over on Sundays over on ESPN Southwest Florida. I think I want to say 7 to 10, I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Producer Rick Church, one of the great people in the business, and his partner Andy on the air. Absolutely. It's a fun. People think, talking golf on the radio, they talk more about other sports than they do golf. I mean, they'll talk a lot of golf this week, but they do a great job over there. So congrats and continued success. All right, Angel, let's take one more break before Glenn Ordway, who's going to join me at the bottom of the hour, all the way from Arizona. And we've got a couple other new videos to play for you as well. In the meantime, all part of the Pete Sheppard Show. Don't go anywhere. Big O at the bottom of the hour right here on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Hey, everybody, it's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Sheppard Show.
Plenty of time for SGA to squeeze one off against Brown.
What?
No whistle. Oh, he got it to go! SGA on the JOB at the buzzer.
Squeeze one off.
Just a small town girl.
SGA squeezed a lot of them off last night on his way to an Oklahoma City win. 118-112 over the Boston Celtics. When I played that cut earlier this morning, usually in my perverted mind, that stuff will click and resonate with me most of the time, but it didn't. And I was just playing that cut on the way back just for shits and giggles. It's funny because I'm sophomoric and childish, and you hear things like that, and can't help but mind going to the gutter. It's how I roll. Not with everything, but when in broadcasting, and I'm sure that is going to probably come out today with somebody. Anyway, welcome back to the Pete Sheppard Show. Final segment coming up. Glenn Ordway, the big O at the bottom of the hour. Glenn, if you're listening, you can chime in at any time. You don't have to wait till 9:30 if you don't want to. But, it's 3 hours difference out in Arizona. So we'll get Big O's thoughts on a lot of different subject matter. Again, last night, statement game by the Oklahoma City Thunder because they beat the Celtics in Boston 118-112. I certainly hope that this will be, that was a preview of the NBA Finals. That should be one hell of a series. But the Oklahoma City Thunders, too, still, they got to get there. And they got to get over that Buffalo Bills sort of complex and get over the hump. And I believe they will because they're an excellent basketball team and on the defensive end as well. But SGA, who's going to be the MVP this year, although Jokic, it's really neck and neck. If you look at it is really neck and neck. But SGA last night, 34, 5, and 7. Tatum had 33, 8, and 8 for the Celtics. They just, the Thunder went to the line 23 more times than the Celtics last night. And it wasn't because of bad officiating, because they earned it. They really did. And last night, it just came down to the wire. They lost by 6. It came down to the wire. Hauser and Pritchard both of them had kind of off nights, so that didn't help. And that was the first time really that I really thought they missed Porzingis with that particular matchup, because he is no question a shot changer, and they needed somebody inside last night. Not that Harford wasn't getting it done and Luke Cornett and stuff, but last night they needed Porzingis. They really did. And hopefully he'll play tomorrow night when the Celtics go on the road and take on Miami. The Celtics they had won 5 in a row, 15 out of 18, so they're playing good ball. And hopefully that'll be the case. I'd like to see OKC and the Celtics, and again in the finals. I think that the entire country would, except for you Laker idiots out there. All right, let's see some NFL video. Mike Race is reporting right now that the Patriots are making a change at center with plans to release franchise pillar and 8-time captain David Andrews today. Andrews is recovering from shoulder surgery. If he decides to retire, the expectation is that the team would host a ceremony for him. So that sucks. That sucks. He has been the absolute. There's one guy that's been stable on this offensive line the last few years. Just after Tom Lay, it's been that guy. So that's too bad. We'll see what happens. The Cooper Kupp thing. I hope the Patriots land him. I know he's 31 years old, but the guy's a leader, and I certainly think it would help the Patriots big time. Angel, if we could scroll down, somebody's not going to help anybody big time, in my opinion. I don't know what's going on with Pittsburgh. I don't know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. But let's scroll down, Angel. If you might have to refresh it. Just retweeted it or tweeted it out from Get Up this morning. It's right underneath the show. It should be right under the Mike Reese story that I also just tweeted out. From Get Up, when he talks about wide receivers and quarterbacks and the Pittsburgh Steelers signing Aaron Rodgers. And here it is. Once again, he's been great. Ryan Clark goes off on this. You see it, Angel? There we go.
Yeah. I think that Mike Tomlin can work with anybody. I think that the personality of Mike Tomlin is to find the best in any situation in order to help his team reach its fullest potential. But let's say you put Scar on the team. You know Scar from the Mufasa movies and Lion King, right? Yeah. Here it is. Mufasa is trying to be Scar's brother, right? Do you know what Scar's name was before Scar?
I don't.
It was Taka. Do you know what Taka meant?
No.
Garbage. Wasted. That's exactly what could happen if you bring Aaron Rodgers in there. You can have a wasted season. You can have a garbage season. You can have a locker room that has to adjust to not only Aaron Rodgers, but Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers trying to figure out who's going to win the battle of what they want the offense to be. We know what Arthur Smith wants. He wants to run the football. He wants to get into play action pass. That's not the way Aaron Rodgers likes to play football. So it isn't about the personality of Mike Tomlin mixing with anybody, because he can coach anybody, relate to anybody. He can motivate anyone. But does it work with the X's and O's? And when the X's and O's don't work, and Omar Khan, the general manager of the Pittsburgh Steelers, says, okay, this piece isn't working. Do we have to start it all over again in Pittsburgh and find a new quarterback? Yes, it looks great, right? It looks great that you got DK Metcalf and George Pickens out there, but you got 2 crash outs. So you're going to have 2 crash outs at wide receiver and then add the quiet crash out at quarterback? Hell no. This is not something that I feel in my soul as someone that loves the black and gold. I don't get all warm and tingly thinking about this.
Okay.
We're going to be like the Pride Lands. You know what the Pride Lands was? Yeah. That's where Scar and the Hyenas was.
That's the dark area.
That's where we're going to end up, where the shadows are cast. Nobody want to be where the shadows at, Greenie. Timon and Pumbaa ain't coming to save us. That little bird that runs around singing whatever song he was singing, Mighty King. No, that ain't it.
That's great. And one more, Angel, right below that. That was from yesterday, but today, this is from today. Mike Tannenbaum goes and starts talking about Russell Wilson and what he would do if he were the Cleveland Browns at GM. This was on Get Up earlier today on ESPN.
So you're the Browns. You bring Russell Wilson in today. Take me inside that meeting, my GM.
Yeah, Greenie. Hey, Russell, come on in. You could start. We were a playoff team 2 years ago. We just retained arguably the best non-quarterback in the NFL. If you walk out of this door, which you have the right to do, we are signing Jameis Winston. And if you go to the New York Giants, it will be the professional grave, because when was the last time since Eli Manning, a quarterback, went to the Giants and he had a good story to tell? So, Russell, come on in. You could start. We may or may not draft a quarterback, but if I'm Cleveland, if I had Russell Wilson and Kenny Pickett, I have maximum flexibility in the draft. So I am creating a sense of urgency with Russell Wilson.
So you're the Browns. You bring Russell Wilson in today.
Yeah, okay. Look, I'm not sure. I have a feeling it would just be like the Browns to sign Russell Wilson, and he'd be mediocre at best over there in that organization, in my opinion. Instead of going with Cam Ward, if Tennessee doesn't draft him, you take Cam Ward at number 2. You start him immediately and just let him rip it. Absolutely. That's what I would do if I were the Browns. I would do everything in my power to get Cam Ward a franchise quarterback, I think, for the future. No question. But they'll do what Browns do. They're not quite the Jets, but they do stupid things. So they'll go to Russell Wilson. They'll probably get him. They'll go after him. And if that happens, I still don't know what the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to do. They got no quarterback. They got DK Metcalf and a couple other receivers, but they got no quarterback. So who knows? This Aaron Rodgers thing is really something because he's just dilly-dallying around. And, the Minnesota Vikings. Actually, Angel, if we could scroll down yesterday, it's under First Take. And, again, Ryan Clark and Stephen A. talking about Kevin O'Connell and maybe Aaron Rodgers, which it's an amazing. I want you to hear the discussion. It's very interesting. But Ryan Clark compares the Steelers and Vikings as destinations for Aaron Rodgers. It's good stuff.
Who do you believe is the best quarterback, especially with the acquisition of DK Metcalf? Who do you believe is the better quarterback option for the Pittsburgh Steelers strictly for next season? Is it Russell Wilson or is it Aaron Rodgers, number one? And number two, who do you believe Aaron Rodgers should trust more, Kevin O'Connell or Mike Tomlin, based on the fact that no matter how much love we have for Mike Tomlin, and we all do, Pittsburgh hasn't won a playoff game since 2016. Where do we go? What are your answers?
I like that. So first off, I think the answer to this question is Aaron Rodgers. If I'm Pittsburgh, I go with Aaron Rodgers because I already saw what it looks like with Russell Wilson. And it wasn't that Russell Wilson played bad. It was that we had the same fizzle out late in the season into the playoffs that we've had years prior with other quarterbacks, with the likes of Kenny Pickett, with the likes of Duck Hodges. And so we know what Russell Wilson and Arthur Smith, how that marriage will play out on the field. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, it's not about whether or not I trust Mike Tomlin more than I trust Kevin O'Connell. It's do I trust Arthur Smith more than I trust Kevin O'Connell? Do I believe that Mike Tomlin can work with anyone? Do I believe that Mike Tomlin can motivate anyone, communicate with anyone? Absolutely. The relationship between those two people will be great. But then I also have to look at what's happened to the quarterbacks under Mike Tomlin's tenure since Ben Roethlisberger. None of them have looked like Kirk Cousins. None of them have rebuilt and reclaimed their career the way Sam Darnold did last year. And none of them have won the amount of games that we watched Kevin O'Connell win with, whether it was Kirk Cousins or with Sam Darnold. And so
there's more of a trust for Kevin O'Connell? There's more of a trust in Kevin O'Connell?
Absolutely. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, absolutely. Right. There's more trust in Kevin O'Connell and what he'll accomplish there than what Mike Tomlin has accomplished with the quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger.
Yep. Good stuff. Angel, you're going to have to refresh if you can. I just tweeted something out. This one from NFL Network and Good Morning Football. And here are the guys, Pete, talking about Pete Schrager, talking about more about Aaron Rodgers and the frustration for teams and fans of holding on.
This is the dance partner you're dancing with. He's going to go at his own timeline, and you know that going in. Yesterday, widely, it was reported that Rodgers was going to have some decision by the end of the day. I was on our show, Good Morning Football. I'm like, this might take a week. This might take 2 weeks. This might take 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And I was being sarcastic about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. But it certainly wasn't going to happen on the timeline of NFL reporters in the New York market or NFL reporters in the Pittsburgh market. It's going to happen on Aaron Rodgers' timeline. And the Giants and Pittsburgh Steelers are two of the most historic franchises with a ton of pride, run by families. These are families that run these. This is not some conglomerate or private equity or some newfound wealth that was made on the Wall Street. This is families who have decades and decades of experience. Do they like waiting? Well, here's the alternative. You move on, you bring someone else in, that's your second choice, and what was really sacrificed? You didn't get a fourth string wide receiver, you didn't pick up your nickel corner that might play on special teams. If I'm looking at the Steelers and the Giants, and this is holding up any sort of transaction that they really want to do, but they just can't, well, then fine. You can make that line in the sand and say, look, we're giving ourselves till 3 p.m. today, and if we don't hear from Rodgers, it's time to move on. But really, both those teams made their big moves already, besides quarterback, and usually you get the quarterback first and you build around it. In this case, DK Metcalf, Javon Holland, those were big swings. Those were big moves. Yeah. Giants and Steelers still already got them done. Do you move on to Russell Wilson? Well, it's such a contrast. Aaron Rodgers, We don't know what his timeline is. We don't even know what his numbers necessarily have to be hit. And this is how he's going to dictate the situation. Russell Wilson is getting on a plane himself and flying to Cleveland today to be like, I want to be a quarterback, man. I just want to play football. That might resonate. But at the end of the day, you made your board, you made your list, and both those teams, the Steelers and the Giants, they had Rodgers above Wilson. Does a couple days of waiting going to matter? Maybe. I also think it's going to come from those teams internally to have to draw a line in the sand, and I don't see that happening right now. They've already waited this long. They might as well wait as long as it takes to get their quarterback.
I agree with you. Yeah, what bothers me more than anything is that this is lingering, and Aaron Rodgers is sitting there doing whatever he does in darkness or in light and just loving this. He's got a big freaking smirk on his face. He loves that everybody is talking about him again. Holding the league hostage, so it seems, and that's what I think 90% of it is. 10% of it of me thinks maybe he's thinking about retiring. Only 10%. The other 90%, Angel, he's just sitting back and loving this on his zone of darkness or zone of lightness, wherever he is on some island or some beach. With good for him. But I can't stand it. I hate it. I hate it that he's holding hostage on the Giants and the Steelers, it seems, and maybe another team too that we talked about. Maybe Arizona swoops in. I don't know, but I don't like it. I don't like it.
I don't either. And if I'm the Giants, I'd just be moving on. No offense. I mean, they've got more problems than just a QB.
Yes, sure. Sanders. If he drops to where they are, go take him. I mean, but
not for me. My thing is it's time to move on. Why bother? Like, the draft is just 3 to 4 weeks away at this point, or maybe less than a month away, I should say. But even at that point, why the heck are you just worrying about this? Move on. Just don't even worry about it. Draft your quarterback that is going to fall into a certain slot, or get a borrowed one. Obviously, what's his name isn't the Danny DeVito or whatever his name is. Their temporary one, but go with that for the moment.
Yeah, we'll see. But I hate the fact that Aaron Rodgers is loving all of this. All right. I just told you that Mike Reese just broke the story that the Patriots making a change at center. David Andrews, 8-time captain, Super Bowl champion, will not be part of the Patriots. They plan to release him Thursday. He's coming off shoulder surgery as well. But he has been the one pillar, the one that, since Tom Brady left, he really has been one of the best centers in the league and a true leader. He will be missed, but that will, of course, open the door for others. And Ben Brown, the second-year guy out of Mississippi, seems to be next in line. But with that, we say good morning to Big O. We head out to Arizona and say good morning, Big O, Glenn Ordway. Just like that, breaking news, and there you are. How are you, my friend?
How about that, Pete, huh? It just happens. So let me get this straight. So the Patriots are in desperate need of offensive linemen, and they just let go the best offensive lineman that they have, right? I mean, he's obviously coming off of shoulder surgery, so there's an issue there, and they may be very concerned. And he's not the youngest offensive lineman, but this is just another big hole that New England needs to fill. So they need a left tackle, they need a right tackle, and now they need a center. Tell me how many teams can get away without those guys. If you don't have those guys, the left tackle, the right tackle, and the center.
Tell me why Vidarian Lowe is still on this team.
I have no idea.
I screamed at him from week one or whenever I saw. I mean, just every single time.
They get nobody better, Pete. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And, they struck out so far in the offseason. There weren't a lot of guys available. So, and I'm not sure you can fill it in the draft. I mean, the best tackle right now is this kid Will Campbell, and they say he's got little alligator arms like mine. What good does that do if you got little alligator arms and you're playing left tackle in the NFL? Exactly.
But you know what? You hope that maybe some of these cuts happen in a couple of next.
But it'll be an old guy. It'll be an overpaid old guy. You're right. It'll be 35, 36, 37-year-old guy. You're right. That's probably what their plan is. That's probably
or maybe, I don't know, maybe they get the offensive line equivalent of Milt Williams somehow, some way, and get a deal like that. I mean, to me, that's out of every signing that's happened so far, I'm not just saying that for the Patriots. I mean, that's been the best signing by far. The fact that
Milt Williams, no question. I like what they're doing. I like Landry, and he's a guy that played before in Tennessee, so Vrabel is well aware of him. And Spillane is a good player. They've added good players. They're really strong at the cornerback spot. That's why I don't see where Hunter makes sense for them in the draft here, because that may be their strongest position right now. But there's so many holes, Pete. There's just so many holes. And the wide receiver, do they get Cooper Kupp? I don't know.
He's first on my list. I mean, you got to go get him. You got to at least make an effort. Now, look, I know they did a great job going after Godwin. They offered him, $20 million more than Tampa Bay. I was talking with Bill Sparrows yesterday from the Herald. He says, well, maybe they needed to offer him $30 million. I'm like, there's certain situations with certain guys. I think he is so ensconced, in Tampa, and he just has a baby boy and everything else. I'm not sure. He's one of the few exceptions where it's not about the money. I just think he wanted to be stable, family first over the salary. But
yeah, I mean, when you
I
get
wish they would have got it. I wish that he was number one on my list. I love that guy.
Yeah, I'm not as crazy about him as you are, but I understand what he's doing. He's one of those older guys, established guys. He's been there for a long period of time. Exactly what you said. He's got a family there. He's sitting there going, boy, they're going to have to just knock my socks off. Here's the other one. Massachusetts has not only a state income tax, 9%. But they have a millionaire's tax as well. So he would get hit with 9% state income tax. Yep. In Florida, as you know, you stiffs don't pay a damn cent. Okay, hey. Nothing. What
do you pay down in Arizona?
No, you know what you pay in Florida? You pay for tolls. I can tell you that. I was just down there the last week, and that's all I did is pay for tolls.
Hey, you're lucky, not for nothing, but you left a couple days, and they had a bad tornado there earlier this week. It was bad.
We were there when it didn't hit the area we were. Yeah, did not hit the area we were in.
Oh, that's good.
But it did have it there. Yes.
Well, that's good. Did you go to Disney World, Epcot, all that stuff?
Yeah, Universal for a day. That was about it. Enough of I can only take so much of the Minions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was just saying, before we move on to other stuff, we'll get into the Celtics from last night. And so one of you, and I said the same thing. Normally, people if you didn't see the game, be like, oh, what the fuck happened? And they went to the blind 23 more times. I didn't have any problem with the officiating last night. They deserved it. I thought last night, Glenn, was the first time that they really missed Porzingis. I mean, he's a shot changer. There's no doubt about it, amongst other things. I thought last night was the first time where it was really noticeable. They've had other games the last couple of weeks where 3 starters have been out, 3 starters plus Hauser, plus Horford not playing, still winning by double digits. But against that team, who I hope we saw a preview of the NBA Finals. I'm hoping. But that was one game last night I thought that they really missed Porzingis.
Yeah, I still think the Lakers could knock them off in a Western Conference series, only because OKC, though they're extremely talented, and SGA is going to end up winning the MVP, is that they're still young and they still have to figure out how do you get through a 7-game series. But, Pete, they present real major obstacles for the Celtics. I mean, it's a real problem. They're the best team at defending the 3. They rotate extremely well. They're very disciplined in their defense. They're well coached. And so they're up on your face right away. And so you're not taking, even though you're rotating, I thought the Celtics did a good job of moving the ball, rotating the ball, trying to find the open guy. Yep. But the open guy only has like a half a second. You don't have a long period of time. The other thing that worries me, look at the 2 games that they played against OKC. And because of this defense, Pritchard and Hauser have been useless. Yep. They have been able to do nothing. They're not getting open looks. They're a big part of the Celtics rotation, big part of their offense off the bench. And the only thing they're asked to really do, though both of them will play hard at defense, the only thing they're really asked to do is give them some instant offense from the perimeter. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure they can do it against this team. I've seen 2 games now against OKC, and they have both looked hapless. I agree with you with Porzingis, and I think you could say that about a lot of games where, and I hear what you're saying, in this one, probably,
against that team, against a great team that they are.
The team worries me, though. This team, I think, is a problem for the Celtics. They just don't match up well.
Like you said, they won't have to worry about it until the NBA Finals, and then hopefully they'll figure something out. But
I think
you're higher on the Lakers than I am, because I'm going to see JJ Redick have a nervous breakdown. I want him to go. Jack Nicholson shining. I do hate him, and not just because he went to Duke. I don't
deep-rooted hatred.
That's a deep-rooted hatred for them and that organization for so many reasons. But although I am looking forward to the Kobe thing, I'll get to your thoughts on the Celtics documentary, which I think has been fantastic so far. The Bill Simmons thing, but I just don't think LeBron and Luka are going to be healthy enough for them to get to the finals.
Oh, that may be.
I still do not think they're getting out of the second round. I'm sorry. I know you saw it all hunky-dory. Doncic is still yelling, yapping at officials. He still doesn't play great defense or even very good defense, in my opinion. I don't know. I still see OKC in Denver in the West. Hey, nothing would please me more than Celtics Lakers, right? The NBA wants that to happen, Glenn. How many times are you going to hear that?
You think they want that to happen? So it get the highest ratings in how many years? That game, it was a Saturday night game, regular season, get the highest ratings in like 8 years or something like that. Of course, the NBA wants that. And I would tell you that you need to consider that as part of your opinion as to whether the Lakers are going to make it out of the West.
Are you telling me officials might be coerced into maybe giving the Lakers a break here and a break there like they do for the Kansas City Chiefs?
Pete, all I'm saying is the NBA is not doing that well right now. They need some help. Their regular season is long. Most of the stars don't play for a lot of these games, so you turn them in, or you go and spend $200 to $300 to go to an arena to go watch somebody play, and you sit there and say, "Oh shit, what happened to him? Why is he not playing? Why is he not playing?"
Yeah,
there are a lot of things I think you've got to be concerned with. I'm not saying it's fixed. I'm saying that they just would love to have Boston and L.A. because Boston and L.A. has revived this league how many times over the years, okay? It's been the elixir to fix any of the issues that they have. I would tell you this with the Lakers. When they get to the playoffs, and you're right, it all depends on LeBron, whether he's healthy or not, or whether he's he's hurt, that Stephen A. is saying stuff about his son.
I'll get to that.
And you got to worry about Luka's health as well. But remember how much time off you have in between games in the postseason. It's not like you're playing these back-to-backs. It's not like you're playing, 3 games in 4 nights, stuff like that. It does not happen. And I think that will benefit the Lakers. I like the experience. And there's nobody, he may be a crybaby, but there's nobody that's playing better at age 40 in the NBA in the history of the game than what LeBron is doing right now. So they still concern me. I don't think they're a great matchup for the Celtics. Why? Because the Celtics are one team that has learned how to destroy Luka Doncic. They force him to play defense continuously. They go right at him defensively. That wears him out. And then he starts just getting haphazard when he gets to the offensive end.
We'll get the Stephen A. thing, because obviously the Massachusetts Hall of Fame broadcaster, by the way, Glenn Ordery, but you did play-by-play in color for the Celtics for many, many years with Johnny Most, and with Jerry Seaston, and whoever. And I know at the end it's interesting because you started to criticize the team a little bit, and they got mad at that because you were being honest about. But that aside, during your broadcast days doing play-by-play and color, did anybody, and you were there for the height of the big three, Magic and Parrish and McHale and everybody else. Did anybody ever approach you like that? Getting in your face about something that you said during a broadcast, and then that stuff ever happened to you?
I had wives come up to me and say stuff. Why are you doing that to my husband? But No, not really.
Or Greg Kite.
Yeah, no, Greg Kite never. His wife might have, but Greg Kite never came up to me. No, I think it was a little different in that you're doing a team. I was doing one team's games, so I didn't really, hear it much from those people because they were mostly partisans anyway. But I did hear from not one, not two, but maybe 3 or 4 different wives over the years who were not pleased at what I said because their husband had played a shitty game and, happened to say he played a shitty game and, he just didn't have a good night. And I don't think they liked it, but I understood it. They're the loved ones. They're the ones that are going to be the most, defending their husbands or whatever. But, I mean, the thing was, everybody knows in the league that's why LeBron should just shut up when it comes to Bronny.
Agree.
Everybody in the league knows that the only reason he's playing in the NBA is because he's the son of one of the greatest players of all time and a guy that controls everything with the Los Angeles Lakers. We all know this. You know, to me, it seems like his ceiling right now, unless he gets a lot better, is the G League, and he's a pretty good G League player.
Yes.
So maybe instead of taking the planes with Daddy, he should be taking the buses with the G League and playing with them. He would be perfectly fine. For LeBron to get pissed off because somebody's saying that about his son. What was the thing I saw, the tweet a while back where he was claiming he was sitting there watching NBA games one night, and he was saying that Bronny was so much better than most of these other guys.
Yeah.
What
Embarrassing.
games was he watching? College games? High school games? What games was he watching?
I don't hear LeVar Ball coming out and talking about his kids anymore either. I mean, if he can shut up, I mean, LeBron, I mean, please be serious. Just because the Lakers were dumb enough and you Jedi mind tricked your son to that organization, I mean.
Well, it happens, though. Look at Giannis in Milwaukee. He's carried two brothers over the years who were like the 15th player on the team and did absolutely nothing, you know, but carry his laundry out or whatever. So it happens. I get it. It happens. I'm not pissed that it happens, but LeBron can't be pissed that media are sitting there saying, you know, Bronny's not good. He shouldn't be in this league. I'm sorry. You can't be pissed when people see the obvious.
And not only, like I said, and, you know, he's responsible for this, and just I forget what I was going to say.
I feel bad for the kid, by the way, Pete, because I think it's
do.
tremendous pressure on the kid. I mean, it's not like some kid that has no name, that nobody knows who he is, and he's just trying to make an NBA roster. This kid has got the eyeballs on him. There is no defender, even when you're playing the last 2 minutes, 3 minutes of a game, and Bronny finally gets a chance in the game. There is nobody out there that wants Bronny to be able to score against them. So it would be some other stiff off the bench. You wouldn't give a rat's ass the end of the game, just play the string out. Oh, no, it's Bronny James. I'm going to shut that kid down. That's what he's faced every single time he gets into a game. That's not fair. That's the father's fault.
I agree. And then you have on the other side, Stephen A. And he has been on every single network, and every single network, sports or otherwise, explaining his side of the story. It's become, Can I
tell you my feeling on Stephen A. And I knew him a little bit in the old days. We used to have him on the show, as you know, every once in a while. Here's my feeling on Stephen A. I understand the infatuation. ESPN is really struggling right now to try to find any personalities. They've certainly found one with Pat McAfee, and they've certainly found one with Stephen A. So I'm not jealous. I don't regret what they're paying him or what he's getting or whatever. I understand it and see it. What I don't understand is that they're suddenly trying to make Stephen A. something that he's not, okay? I'm sorry. As you know, I'm a news junkie. I am into politics. I am into policy. Stephen A. knows absolutely nothing. I have been watching Stephen A. on interviews here recently in which he goes on there with people in which he says, people that oppose his views, they go, I didn't know that. If I knew that, I would have had a different opinion. If you're saying that on a news show and you have people that are actually claiming that you might be a good candidate for the Democrats in 2028 to run for the presidency, there's something wrong. Then he needs to spend a lot more time understanding policy or whatever. But Stephen A. is great at saying things that he knows is going to get wrinkles out there. He knows it's going to piss people off. And he's doing that right now. And he's pissing off all the liberals. He's pissing off the Democratic Party. He's purposely able to do that. But there's no substance there. There's far more substance with him with sports than there is with news. And at times, as you know, he lets the substance go by the wayside because he knows he can get a lot of ink out there if he just accentuates this one idiotic point. And again, I like him. I'm not knocking him here. I'm saying this is what he is. Stop trying to make Stephen A. into something that he isn't.
I totally agree. The problem is he goes on The View with those nuts and they're so stupid on that show.
But he got attention.
can't-
He put him
and they-
down.
Of course it does.
He put him
And
down, Pete.
but
He
of
got
course he did,
attention.
and he brought up some great facts, and people think he's a big Trump guy. I don't know what he is.
He's not a
politically.
Trump guy.
He's not a Trump, but he brought up some interesting numbers and they sit there, Joy. They sit there. I mean, it was the most the dumbest show. I don't know how it's but it makes him look like a genius when he's on shows like that. And those are the clips that get put out there most of the time.
Yeah, but I've seen him on other shows where
I agree.
Where people are putting him in his place because he does not know facts, and they're throwing facts out at him. And he's at that point he was on some show. And they were talking about to him, did you realize that Zelensky pushed last year to get on the Academy Award show? Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah, he loves the camera. And Stephen A. was totally taken back by it. Oh, well, then I got a different view about him if that's the case. So if you put him on with somebody who's smart and may politically disagree with him, but is solid in having facts with their opinion, he's lost. You're right. They put him on The View, but look at the attention he got. Because he made the women look like fools. It's not hard to do, Pete, as you know, to make those women look like fools. He did. But he got tons of attention. And that's what ESPN loves about him, is that he can say something, he'll be outrageous, and the next day, with clips, everybody across the country take clips now, and they use that as substance for their shows. Yeah. And that's what they do with him. So,
I appreciate him talking about basketball. When he's talking about football, NFL, and especially college, it's embarrassing. But he's making $20 million a year. We had Kevin Winter on yesterday, who just got fired.
Good man, Kevin Winter.
Great guy.
Yeah.
And man, did he have some stories to tell. It just so happened to coincide right when Stephen A. signed his new $20 million a year deal, $100 million deal. And as Kevin pointed out, he goes, my measly, a little over 100K salary. That's the reason why they had to let him go and a few others. And
they let a lot of people go for that. And I'm not, and if we're looking at it from a business standpoint, I'm not sure that it makes that much sense. Where else was Stephen A. going to go? Did they have that fear? I mean, what they're trying to do right now, because they can't develop their own talent anymore, that's why they picked up Pat McAfee's show, and he's doing it basically as an outsider. They're coming in and they're paying for the whole show. That's the only way they can do it. Well, McAfee created that show, and the people around him. ESPN didn't create that show, so it's a major problem right now, I think, for ESPN. And so the only thing they know is to keep on throwing dollars at him, keep on throwing a lot of money at him, and maybe it'll work. And what you end up doing is you end up cutting your staff because you can't, it's not like ESPN is making a lot of money out there, Pete. It's not happening anymore.
But
it's not happening anymore.
And Kevin brought this up. Yeah, and the problem is it's almost like, I don't know, maybe you want to throw Felger in there as well. I mean, it's the same shows on ESPN. It starts even with the morning show on the radio, which I listen to occasionally before I come on the air on this show. It's the same stuff. Unsportsmanlike. Then it goes to Get Up and then First Take. It's the same people with the same stuff, the same shows, the same guests talking about the same thing until McAfee comes on at noon, which is somewhat entertaining. And now Kevin's telling me that Stephen A. is going to be part of Monday Night Countdown. That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
To have him on part of Monday, but they think everything Stephen A. does is just eyeballs, which he does draw eyeballs, I suppose. But him on Monday night, it's becoming too much. But when you pay a guy $20 million a year, I guess you got to be on call for everything.
Yeah, and I think that is a real problem for Stephen A. And that, as I noticed, the more he's on out there, the less he knows. And that is a normal thing. There are only 24 hours in a day. You can only watch so much stuff, as you know. You can only study so much stuff. And so he is going to be caught not understanding an awful lot. That's why I laugh at this whole, political life. And by the way, Stephen A. is laughing about it too. He's basically saying the only reason they're even mentioning my name is because the candidates they have so far for 2028 is so pathetic. And he's right. I mean, he's right about that. And so what he's doing is he's taking advantage of the moment. I can't blame him for doing that. You see, he puts Chris Russo. They have Chris Russo on who they pay a lot now to come on one day a week on Wednesday. That's not the same Chris Russo I knew years ago. This is now Chris Russo, who, because Chris Russo would say a lot of crazy things in which you'd say, what the hell is he saying? But it was very organic. Now I notice what Chris is doing, and maybe he's being pushed to do it, is he's accentuating these crazy ideas that he has, okay? Because it resonates. Because they suddenly have a topic now that came out of nowhere because Chris Russo said something that was really outrageous and stupid. But it works. And that's what they're all doing. And so why not, Pete? And so all the other people around them are the ones that end up losing their jobs because there's only so much money out there that's available. And then there's Kendrick Perkins. Then there's Kendrick Perkins.
Please. Did you see the Saturday Night Lives? Did you see the Saturday Night Lives? I don't watch Saturday Night Live, but I played the clip on Monday.
I did not see it.
Oh, it's on my Twitter page. Just you'll get a laugh out. It's hysterical. Kendrick Perkins at the desk. I mean, what's his name playing? It is funny on Weekend Update, and it's one of the best skits I've seen Saturday Night Live do in some time.
Listen,
you get a kick out of it.
You and I was around a little bit during that period with Kendrick Perkins. I don't remember him ever saying anything. So
Never.
He was very shy, very quiet. Okay, the other guys took all the attention. Kendrick was in the background, and he just did the dirty work out there in the court, which was fine. Now suddenly, he's constantly fighting to get attention and fighting people on X and this and that. And I hate to say it, but who was it the other day that Barkley ripped the crap out of? Charles Barkley ripped the crap out of him.
Because he called him Barkley. And Stephen A. to come out and saying Stephen A. was right. He's like, look, he goes, I'm a fool. I'm going to be called an idiot. That's the way Charles talks. But Kendrick goes right on. And it was before the Celtics-Sixers game, I think, last week.
Yeah.
On TNT or Portland, one of those games. And they had he goes on and says all that stuff about the lake, which I loved, and he was absolutely right about it. And then called Perkins a fool and dumb. And then Perkins goes right to Twitter and threatens to beat him up and everything. And they just re-signed this guy, too. They just re-signed Perk, which I don't get.
Well,
He's another one that's very, very he's very sensitive right now for some reason.
Yeah, I think he sounds like a dope half the time when he's talking about the NBA. I really do. The NBA, studio shows are terrible, but I think he's the worst of the group. And he has major issues with the Celtics now, major issues. And the other thing I can't stand about him is that he's one of those guys that will see one game, one quarter, and change his opinion entirely, okay? So before the game last night, he was touting the top 5 players in that game, and he had Tatum as number 1. Now, I didn't watch the post game, but my guess was that Tatum was no longer number 1 by the end of the game. SGA was number 1, or Holmgren was number 1, or somebody else was number 1. He can't understand that it's a long 82-game season and then the playoffs, and you can't sit there and go crazy. It could be in one game. It could be a matchup situation. There are a lot of things that play into it. But I'm with you. He drives me crazy. And then he's sensitive when people go at him on X. He's very sensitive about it. Well, if you're going to be outrageous and you're going to say these things, expect that people are going to come at you. That's what's going to happen. I mean, they do it at Charles. Wait till you see some of the college nitwits that are going to be all pissed off because Charles will be part of the TNT and CBS crew for March Madness. He hasn't seen any of these teams for the whole year.
And he never does the guarantees. I mean, I don't understand how ESPN and their studio show and the NBA, it is so fucking horrible.
Yeah.
And it's the way that it's formatted too. And I've learned a lot over the years from you, but you can just tell the way TNT does it. When they come out of, when they go to halftime, it's a good halftime show. You got on ESPN, you got a 20-second blurb of some obvious thing. Then they go to 5 minutes of commercial. Then they come back for another 20-second blurb. And then it's more 5 minutes of commercials. And then they come back and you have to hear Kendrick Perkins say a bunch of stupid things. And there's no real entertainment, in-depth analysis as opposed to what TNT does. Why? I never understood. And maybe now that all the guys are going over there next year, maybe things will change. I just never understood how ESPN could be so stubborn and the way they format that show, how they wouldn't try at least to somewhat emulate what they do on TNT. I never understood it.
Well, they paid $2.6 billion or whatever for the NBA, and I think what they're doing is they're protecting the NBA. I think TNT took a much different approach. They had strong personalities in Barkley and Shaq and Kenny and Ernie Johnson. And so they could kind of get away with it, and then they became extremely popular. So the NBA was not going to shut them down. The NBA was going to play along with it. I'm worried about the NBC contract now with the NBA because I think you're going to see a lot of the same stuff you see on ESPN. They're going to tone it down, and they're going to be very careful about what they say. And, they've got too much invested now with these leagues, and so they want to be able to protect that investment, Pete. And they no longer have baseball, so this is it for baseball with them.
Yeah, now we get to see. If it's more college baseball, that's one thing. But I mean, what they're going to put in alternative programming, it's going to be. We're going to see guys doing karate again and erector set competitions, and who the hell knows? Before I let you go, I did want to. I'm sure if you watched the Bill Simmons documentary on Max.
I've seen the first one, the only one I've seen. The second one was on Monday, right?
Yeah, I saw.
I've only seen one.
It's all about Bill Russell. I think it's very well done in a lot of ways. I'm pretty happy.
The problem I had with the first one is that the people that they were interviewing were people that I don't think really understood or certainly weren't around during that period.
Yeah.
So, and Simmons is a terrific writer and he's very good at this.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to rip him here. I just think that was all, a lot of the interview stuff, as you know, all of it virtually, was all from 20 and 30 years ago. It was older Cousy stuff, and certainly was old Bill Russell stuff. And Tommy Heinsohn, that was a young Tommy Heinsohn that you saw speaking. And so they included on top of that, fiction writers. And they had Lawrence O'Donnell. From I guess he grew up as a kid in Boston. He's on MSNBC now. I'm trying to figure out why you would have those people on and not some other people. Now they did have Jackie McMullen, which they should have had because she and Bob Ryan, they know the Celtics inside and out. I'm not sure Howard Bryant does, though he was there obviously so they could talk about race, and there was no question that they should have been talking about race because it was a major issue with that team in Boston in the 50s and 60s. So, but I just think they could have done a better job with it. I don't think it was laid out properly.
I think you'll find episode 2 is more to your liking. There's a lot more Bob Ryan, Jackie Mack, a couple of Shaughnessy's sprinkled in there. And
Shaughnessy should be there. He should be there.
I know. And Lee Montville. And Lee Montville as
and
well.
Montville should be there. Yes.
I think you'll find you're right. The interviews are much better, and the people talking about it much better. Some really interesting inside stuff about Bill Russell. I think there's been some footage that I've never seen before. I thought I'd seen everything, but some good Auerbach stuff.
I hope so. I hope so.
I think you'll. It's a little different than the first one. Maybe they were just trying to set the stage a little bit with the first one. This one is all about Russell from player to coach, and what he went through. And there's some funny clips with him and Wilt Chamberlain too, having a conversation. But that's pretty fun. So I think you'll like it. I think you'll find this one a little.
Well, I'm hoping I like it because it's 9 episodes, and I will watch all 9. Okay, because of my affection for the Celtics. So I hope it is better. And again, it was only the first one, and you're starting to get it off the ground. You're dealing with a subject matter that the 50s and 60s Celtics that very few people know about. The only reason I know about it is I knew a bunch of those people in those days because they would be around the Celtics when I was doing the games. They were older at that time. And I'd have a lot of conversations with those guys, and they would tell me some of those stories. They would tell me the stories about Red just marching the guys out of a hotel and saying, fuck you, we're not staying here if you're not taking our entire team and stuff like that. So I knew a lot of those stories. I was hoping to see more of that and less of some novel writer who was infatuated because he was born in Boston, infatuated by the Celtics, and he heard about this story or that story from a 5th or 6th source. That was the only criticism I had of the first one. The thing was laid out well, and, as I said, he does a good job with that stuff, certainly with the 30 for 30s that he did over the years.
Big O, this was awesome as always. Anything you got anything coming up? I mean, what's going on with you? You're out in Arizona. You're happy and handsome.
You never know. You never know, Pete. You never know what's going to happen next. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
You never know.
I got all these calls yesterday and all the Twitter stuff because trending yesterday on Twitter was hashtag rest in peace Big O. And so it was Oliver Miller died yesterday.
Yeah, Jesus.
So here's the problem with having that moniker that people have given me over the years. There are a lot of Big O's out there. So every time one of the Big O's dies, I guess I'm going to have to experience this until I finally go, and then it'll legitimately be me.
And Oliver Miller was, he was a big dude and played in that championship team for Arkansas. Huge. Now, he's not the one, I forget, it was either him or the kid from Georgia Tech that once ordered the pizza. He was supposed to be on a diet and got a pizza delivered. He had to open his dorm window to get it. But Oliver, that big he was a big man.
He's like 375 or something.
Under that system, 48 minutes. I don't know how he did it back in the day, but anyway, 54
All right,
years
Pete.
old. All right, bud. I'll talk to you.
Always great talking to you. Have a good one.
Jerry Thornton says hello.
Jerry Thornton, my man, Jerry Thornton, good guy.
We're my man Jerry. I'm meeting him.
My man.
Later today. All right, bud. I'll talk to you soon. All the best to you and your fam. Okay,
you got it. You too.
Take care. All righty. Well, that's about going to do it. Great show today. Angel Martinez, thank you so much. I want to thank everybody. Big O Glenn Ordway. I want to thank PGA Pro Jeff Nixon, Trevor Harris, and of course our sports business guru, Rick Horrell. Angel, how are you? You got anything going on? Well, you don't have to come back on. We'll just call it a day. Tomorrow is Friday. Another great show coming your way at 7 a.m. I am Pete. I'm back tomorrow here on the Coastal Sports Network. See ya.